We here at Second Wind are well into our second year as a content-producing powerhouse, and we're hoping to keep going into a third, and perhaps even dare we dream a fourth. By donating as little as $1 a month to our Patreon, you can be a part of helping us keep going. If you want to be part of ensuring the existence of one of the few professional gaming media outlets that isn't being ruined and or shut down by corporate bastards, go to patreon.com/secondwindgroup and please consider giving whatever you can spare. And if you don't want to do any of that either, I don't know, take up cycling, it's good core exercise.
Do something. I was going to look up something to have, but oh well. But it's now gone forever in my mind.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Rewind, episode number 23 for Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. My name is Marty Sleeva, and I'm joined by Darren Mooney, Jack Packard, and producer Eric. Jack, you were just rambling as we were going live. You weren't talking to either of us. You were just like a confused old man walking in front of the camera shot of like a live news feed.
What are you guys making a movie?
And all those moments will be lost like tears in the rain. Okay, let's roll.
Perfect. Don't worry, we'll take this out in post-production. It's fine. Welcome everyone to the Rewind. We got a humdinger for you today because this is a girl dinner. I'm calling this one last week's Firelink was girl dinner because we had a bunch of different topics. This week, girl dinner rewind. Nice. We got a bunch of different topics. We're gonna give a little HBD to Batman Begins. I just realized this morning that it turned 20 years old a couple days ago. Today is the UK release 20 years ago. Incredible. Ooh. I want to talk about a pair of movies, a pair of spoofs and goofs coming back, both in Spaceballs and in Naked Gun. All of us watched the new Predator: Killer of Killers, and Darren, of course, watched 10,000 other things, which I'm excited to hear all about. How are you guys doing, Darren? You're recovering from an illness.
I am indeed. If my voice seems particularly nasally or annoying today, I want to apologize to listeners and to Marty and Jack. But
if my voice seems nasal and annoying, that's just how I sound, and I can't change.
But don't worry, I was sick for a couple of days, but it just flew by.
I get it. It's beautiful.
When I went to the screening of F1 yesterday, they asked me if I was an influenza.
Oh no,
that's so good.
You said that kind of good. That sounded kind of Italian.
That's influenza.
Influenza. Yeah. We're calling ourselves that to make ourselves seem more sophisticated.
Just say you have the sniffles. Come on, get off your high horse. Jack, how are you?
I'm good. Apparently a little rambly. Like that was a genuine old man moment as I wanted to look up, some like credits for a movie that we might be talking about later, and then completely forgot that I was on a phone call with you two. It's like, Eric gave us the heads up. Podcast starts.
You said 40 seconds. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have to do this thing. ADHD, everybody. How's it going? Huh?
It was beautiful. But you know what? We here at Second Wind weaponized that into enjoyable streams and podcasts and videos for all of you. Let's kick things off with a quick little HPD. We don't have to dwell on it because I feel like we've talked about Batman quite a bit in our lives. Darren has probably talked about Batman maybe more than any human being on Earth. He's surrounded in his own Batcave of his own making. But yeah, Batman Begins released June 15th, 2005 in the US, June 17th in the UK. 20th anniversary of this. I think this was sort of the Christopher Nolan coming out party in the US. I mean, everywhere probably of him slowly becoming a household name and that rise to where he is today as probably one of the preeminent auteurs in blockbusters. Also just reshaped superhero movies and summer blockbusters as a whole. Before we go on to Darren, Jack, what are your thoughts on Batman Begins? You like Batman?
In general, I like Batman. I liked Batman Begins. I thought, I think what do I want to say here? The legacy of Batman Begins is more controversial than I think Batman Begins is. I think a lot of people, a lot of movie makers saw Batman Begins and said, aha, dark realism, gritty realism. That's what we need. And it's like, no, you just need to be a good filmmaker. And so while I like Batman Begins, I do not like the consequences that the film industry suffered because of Batman Begins. I think it's a fine movie. I do think it spent a little too not to hammer down on Nolan. I think it spent a little too long on it kind of explaining the bits and the bobs of all the Batman, all the Bat tech. We didn't need that. But listen, you got Christian Bale, you got Chrissy Nolan. I can call him that.
I didn't realize you guys were that close.
Yeah.
It's a fine movie. Liam Neeson, we'll talk about him later.
Oh,
it's a fine movie. Yeah.
Darren, I feel like I've heard you talk about The Dark Knight quite a bit, but I haven't heard you talk a ton about Batman Begins.
I mean, like Shock Horror, the guy who literally wrote a book on Nolan, loves Batman Begins and like lives in a giant Batman cave. I mean, I kind of find myself really fascinated by the argument that like Nolan's gritty realism influenced films or cinema or superheroes and stuff, where it's like, this is a movie in which you have a cult of ninja assassins who flood Gotham with fear gas while Batman fights his way through the set of Blade Runner from 1982. I don't know that I always like felt that the realism of these movies was overstated or overdone. I think like it is, and Nolan has cited as an example, the Richard Donner 1978 Superman, which is verisimilitude, which is what it's aiming for, which is the idea that it is based in a world that is at least tangentially close to our own, but still allows room for, as we mentioned, death cult ninja assassins, fear gas, and like weird fascistic monorail systems that run through the heart of Chicago.
Just love that monorail. They love it.
As someone who has lackluster public transit here in Milwaukee, I love that monorail. Oh,
even if once in a while a ninja named Ra's al Ghul came and destroyed it, it's fine. I take a chance.
We can rebuild it.
And then just seemingly didn't rebuild it for the remaining two Batman movies because the CGI budget had to go elsewhere for those. Now, I do love that in the opening shot of The Dark Knight, you can see the train in the background. Where again, that's the Nolan nerd brain, where he's like, I have to explain the train. So in that shot where you're closing in on the Joker with like the bag before he gets in the car, you can see the train in the distance, and that is the only time that the Dark Knight touches the monorail from like Batman Begins. But I do, what I like about the movie is the extent to which it, and this is something that people are going to roll their eyes at, but the extent to which it takes the idea of superheroes quote unquote seriously. And by that I don't mean takes place in the real world. By that I mean it says this is a folk myth for modern American pop culture. What does it say about us? And what does it say about them? And how do you explain the inner workings of the kind of person who would do something like this? And honestly, like as much as Jack joked about, the excessive montage porn of like, here's how he gets the cape. Here's where he gets the grappling hook. Here's where he gets the helmet. Like, this is a movie that actually goes the bother of explaining why Bats Mr. Wayne, to a point that I don't think any other superhero movie has ever like bothered to delve into the psychology. Nobody's looked at like Scott Lang Ant-Man and said, why ants Mr. Rudd? Or why ants Mr. Pibb? Like, it does feel like it takes the question of, we are making a movie about this. That movie is going to demand 2.5 hours of your attention. We should at least like lock down some of the basics of what we're talking about in terms of building a character who feels like they have, to my mind, a complete internal psychology, where I do feel like, you know, I love Keaton's Batman. I love Pattinson's Batman. I love West's Batman. I obviously love the Kevin Conroy Batman from the animated series. He's the defining Batman. Yes. The one, the only, the greatest Batman. 100%. But I do also think that like the Christian Bale Batman is the first time I've had a Batman on screen where it's like, I understand how and why this guy thinks. I understand why this guy is doing what he's doing, which is a tremendous ask when what he's doing is dressing up as a giant bat and punching clowns in the face. And I do feel like that is something that, as much as we talk about like the quote unquote realism or the grittiness or the darkness of these movies, that is the sort of stuff that I miss, which is the psychology of this is what this character is, what this character wants to accomplish, how he sets about doing it, and why he sets about doing it. I do also think it just has an absolutely incredible ensemble as well. Like, I think that like you could go halfway down the bench on like Nolan's Batman franchise, and you could point to that and say that is one of the top 10 performances in like superhero cinema. Where I think that like Jim Gordon, as played by Gary Oldman, is like one of the greatest performances in superhero cinema. I think Alfred, as played by Michael Caine, as fun as it is to mock but Bane, he's so bad as Bane. I think that like there is a real pathos to the way that Caine plays this character and gives him gravitas. I think like Neeson, as much as we talk about obviously Hardy and we talk about like Ledger in the following two movies, arguably we don't talk enough about Hathaway, who I think is phenomenal in Dark Knight Rises. I think it's her best performance. But Neeson, even here, is like giving a tremendously clever performance that is not only playing on his own screen persona. This is him coming off the back of being like the mentor figure in The Phantom Menace and playing with your expectations there. But it is also a performance that is like him having a great deal of fun. Where the, now, if you'll excuse me, I have a city to destroy. It's like just one of the great lines in superhero cinema. And it comes from a movie that people insist is far too serious, far too earnest, takes itself far too heavy-handedly. But you also have you have Liam Neeson looking at Batman up and down and saying, I see you took my advice about theatricality a little literally. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm here for. It is just so much fun from beginning to end. It is like a delight, sir.
I think part of that reaction people have is because in a vacuum, just from a visual standpoint, it is a sharp contrast from the cinematic Batman we've had beforehand, whether it's Adam West, whether it's Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher, or even Batman the Animated Series. Like this does feel like it is more grounded, even though it has that sort of, if you dig a little bit, it has that silliness. It is far more grounded than any of those previous incarnations.
I mean, there is a. Oh, sorry, Jack.
I was just gonna say, like, it also is a direct line to what is probably considered kind of the golden era of superhero movies, of comic book movies, right? Where you can watch that direct thread of going, oh wait, they can have fun and be a little serious. We can use that as far as Iron Man is concerned, as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is concerned. And like we can joke a lot, but the thing is, Batman Begins is a good movie in which Christian Bale sounds like a doofus as Batman, and we can have both of those things.
Jack. What are you talking about?
Darren, when your hero talks like this,
oh no, you're Scooby-Doo.
Take him seriously. It kind of works.
That is. Do you think they would have, if they had another chance, they would have went back and just changed that? Was someone on set like that? Sounds kind of silly. What if we tried it another way?
I mean, the stories about Bale, right? Where Bale shows up, I think it's from The Machinist, and he's too skinny, and Nolan tells him to put on weight, so he puts on like 200 pounds, and he comes back and he's too heavy. Yeah. Like there is a point where I'm like, you feel like at that moment after he has like lost the weight, gained the weight, and lost the weight again, you're like, you do not whisper anything to Christian Bale about his performance or his body or his choices, because the result will be like horrible.
He might literally die.
Just let him do what he's doing. It's the easiest choice.
Yeah, because there was that span where he did The Machinist, American Psycho, this, Rescue Dawn. It was just movies where his body kept fluctuating. Yes.
But the thing is, like, he said he stopped doing that, but then you watch like Thor: Love and Thunder, and he's doing gore, and obviously gore is not as extreme a physical transformation. You can't see his ribs, but it's also like a physical transformation for the stupid Taika Waititi Thor movie, and you're like, I don't think you can stop. I don't think like there's a part of you that's just like, yeah, I'll show up on Monday and read the script. That's the plan. I'll like roll out of bed and I'll be gore, which I kind of like about him. For all his like issues,
it's the voice was the voice, the body, like it's a choice. It's an actor choice. It's a obviously it's a collaborative storytelling choice in which Nolan said, yeah, let's work with it. But the movie still holds up, even though there are these ridiculous elements to it, and I think that speaks to the talent of Nolan. Is my polite way of saying it's some silly choices.
But yeah, undeniably an important movie. And I'm gonna be honest, I haven't rewatched those movies in a little bit. I'm going on strike until there's actual movement in the new Batman movie. I'm not watching any old Batman movies. Which I guess James Gunn said something like he's just taking his time. I'm like, I feel like something very bad happened, and they're giving him his privacy, which is totally fine. But people just keep asking about it. I'm sure that's very annoying to them.
I mean, I do like in that quote, Gunn literally says people are very mean and then just pauses. And it's like, it feels like there's something that's going to come out that is going to be very, very bad. And everybody's going to feel like a real asshole for like raising the point that they're raising.
Yeah.
My attitude is like, we have had enough Batman movies. Like, I can wait however long it takes for the next Batman movie. It's like a train. One will come along in the next 5 minutes, you know? It might be good, it might be bad, but if it's bad, that's okay. There's another one 5 minutes after that. And like, to Marty's point, though, you mentioned the idea of like this Batman being different from the previous Batmans. I think like that is something that I love about the Batman franchise in general, is that like when Tim Burton's Batman came out, that was radically different from Batman 66. You know, when this came out, it was radically different from, you know, that version. And then obviously Pattinson's is radically different from Bale's version. And there is that quote from Gunn in the Rolling Stone interview, which is very good. I wholeheartedly recommend people read it, where he says, like, I'm sitting down trying to crack Batman, and it is actually taking me time and effort, because you have to, when you're doing something like Batman, you need a unique angle. You can't just do Batman again. You need a fresh approach to it. And I need to figure out what that is. And it's like, that is the right approach to take to a character like this. And I honestly, like, I do not mind if, like, well, first of all, I don't mind if the Batman Part 2 never materializes. I would like that it did, because I like the Batman. But if it doesn't materialize, it's not like I'm going to be on my deathbed going, but Mr. Freeze. But if it does materialize, I want it to materialize like as Matt Reeves and his creative collaborators wanted to. Not because they had to hit a release date that was predetermined by shareholders in order to drive the stock value of the company. That is my take on that.
No comic book company or owner of comic book IP would ever do that to a movie, Darren. That's very rude of you to insist.
They never produce like an entire wall PowerPoint presentation with dates underneath it before they had finished scripts. It is very telling that James Gunn is like, so what did you learn from Marvel? And it's like, well, I learned that the reason that movies are in the sewer right now is because they make them without finished scripts. Did you learn that, Marvel? No comment. No comment. Sorry, Jack.
I was just going to say, I think the same is true for the comic books industry. They would never just rush out titles without thinking ahead.
They would certainly never ask somebody like, is it Igor Kordy to draw an entire issue in the space of like 3 days because they had to hit a shipping deadline. Yeah.
Perfectly normal. Perfectly normal.
Healthy capitalism, healthy.
Yes, we. I read about. We got casting news from the Clayface movie, which is very exciting, and of course, James Gunn mentions that. This is I've been working with Matt Reeves and on the Clayface movie, and it's part of that universe, and so they keep making sure to seed his name around, as far as just a name.
Yeah, I like Clayface. I want to see what he's doing there. That episode of Batman the Animated Series with him was great.
I mean,
Speed of Play, yeah. I mean, that is the rumored to be the basis, right? And I mean, the thing is, like, what I like about Gunn's DC, which doesn't exist yet, to be clear, has yet to produce a single movie. But what I like about, like, the concept of Gunn's DC is that, like, his projects are generally interesting, where he's doing a Superwoman movie that is based on Woman of Tomorrow, which is a great comic. Or he is doing a Clayface movie, which is not anybody's first choice for a movie you have to make in your shared universe, but which happened presumably because he loved the script for it. He was developing a Sergeant Rock movie with Luca Guadagnino, which is, again, not what anybody has in their top list of must-have DC properties, but it's like, if the idea is that good, go with it. Where it's like, I love that his vision of, like, I'm head of a studio, the movies I have to make are, Clayface and Sergeant Rock. They're not Wonder Woman, The Flash, the Green Lantern movie. Like, to the point where it's like, I am least excited about Superman of all the projects that, like, Gunn is working on, which is slightly frustrating. Like,
every time I read about Sergeant Rock, it sounds like the fakest DC thing ever. Because I have like a passing knowledge of DC, and I'm like, this is made up. There's no man named Sergeant Rock in DC who like fights wars. I don't know who this is.
There's a second World War? How derivative.
Sequelitis. Sequelitis comes for all of us. Excellent. Speaking of sequelitis, let's talk about this pair of reboots we got coming. Or sequels / reboots on the way. We got news that Spaceballs 2 is happening. It is coming in 2027, and not only that, but 98-year-old Mel Brooks is going to be reprising his role as Yogurt, and Bill Pullman's coming back. Rick Moranis is still alive. and is coming out of retirement, which is great.
They've tried for 3 Ghostbuster movies and couldn't get him, but the moment honestly, they say Spaceballs, yeah.
Good call for him. I'm curious why. It's not a money thing. I'm sure Ghostbusters would have given him more money. So maybe he just really liked Spaceballs. Or I
I'm
don't know.
sure Mel Brooks called, and like, and I think if Mel Brooks calls you, it doesn't matter if it's going to be a good movie or not. You just do it, 100%.
Yeah.
For example, the entire latter half of Mel Brooks' career. And I love Brooks, to be clear. I love Brooks, and I like some of those movies, but it's very clear.
Wait, where does the latter half
early
start
career and middle career?
I like Robin Hood Men in Tights. I will always go to bat for Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Have you seen it recently?
I was about to say, did you watch it when you were 8?
I did, and I loved it. I feel like I saw it in the last couple of years. Maybe.
Okay.
It has some really good moments. Overall, shocking.
That part where they fight on the bridge and their sticks get smaller and smaller.
Hilarious.
And then he thinks he's drowning because the bridge is so small.
Hilarious.
Dave Chappelle. Nothing bad ever happened.
No,
I love him.
What it is it's overall like it's a fine movie, but you realize that it is just a parody of Robin Hood Prince of Thieves and not a general Robin Hood parody. And so a lot of the references really lose steam. I watched it with my kids who don't know who Kevin Costner is, let alone Prince of Thieves. And they're like, I don't think this is funny at all. And I said, I understand.
I was going to say, like, it is one of those things where you pin it specifically to the movie. And it's like, obviously, Spaceballs is very directly pinned to Star Wars. But that's okay, because Star Wars has maybe a sizable cultural footprint, we might say. Who's to say?
Yes.
But it's like, you pin it to a Kevin Costner movie, which was the biggest movie of its moment. To be absolutely clear, that thing was everywhere.
Huge.
But which today... nothing, just silence, just crickets. It's like you do lose the relevance of like and part of me wonders like about like Dracula Dead and Loving It, because that is obviously so closely tied to Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is a hell of a title. And it's like I wonder how that rewatches in hindsight,
Oh, I do wonder. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So okay, but getting to the meat of this conversation here, which is, did either of you watch I will go on record as saying the regrettable History of a World Part 2?
The TV show, yes, I did.
Yes, yes.
No,
I say regrettable because
I think I memory hold it.
It's a late Mel Brooks work. Like, what do you want from it? Like,
I would even put quotes around Mel Brooks. It's a late Mel Brooks work. It is a lot of other comedic voices doing their best Mel Brooks impersonations, and it is, it just did not quite hit the mark.
I remember the genealogy joke being quite good, but the fact I can only remember one joke from the entire series. Oh, Shakespeare's Writer Room with Josh Gad, who's the guy who's working on Spaceballs. I remember that one too. Okay. Those are the 2 jokes I remember from, I want to say 8 episodes.
2 great jokes. I
wouldn't say great, Marty. I would not say great.
Where did this air? Was it what streaming service?
It was a streaming service. Yeah, it was
Hulu.
Was it Hulu?
I want to say. Yeah. I want to say Hulu. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great.
None of it feels real to me. But this news also came alongside a new trailer for the Naked Gun Lego sequel, reboot, sequel, whatever we want to call it, starring the aforementioned Liam Neeson. That is coming out later on this summer. What did we think of the trailer, and what is our temperature on this movie? 'Cause I have a feeling it might be good, and I'm a little worried. Like it's got some of the sauce of the Lonely Island folks behind it, who made Hot Rod and Pop Star, and those movies are great, and I'm feeling it. And honestly, I miss movies that are just rapid fire goofs. Go on to the next thing. Like, too many movies are worried about plot and story and emotion. And that bullshit.
Theme, symbolism.
Complete bullshit.
I mean, you mentioned The Lonely Island. It's worth noting 2 things they have in common. One is their movies are very good. The other thing that their movies do is underperform horribly at the box office and get remembered and reappraised by people like us years later, and maybe get a streaming spin-off that also gets loved by people like us years later, and then also just disappears entirely, not thinking of anything in particular. But so I share your excitement and dread, Marty.
Yeah, and I do think like I really dragged or drugged my feet. I don't know what the past tense of drag is.
Drugged.
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 my feet were
Drugged.
drugged. On watching the trailer or even like that little like preview trailer or whatnot, just because those movies are staples of kind of my comedic vocabulary, especially growing up. Just huge replays. And so I was really not looking forward to watching these trailers because I was going to be really cynical about them. I do think they're funny. The trailers are funny. I love the stuff the Akiva specifically does as a director. I think it looks good, and I don't want to put hope into my heart. Seth MacFarlane can be hit or miss with his comedy. And this is I think, Darren, you are correct. The correct thinking is the Lonely Highland Boys have tried to do this, but with an original IP, and they have become cult classics. And so now they are going to do what they do with a well-known IP just to try to bank a little corporate goodwill so they can make another Can't Stop Not Stopping or whatever pop star is called. I forget.
Can I ask, do we think this is like a big IP? It's big for us because we're nerds and we're in a certain age demographic. But like, does this mean anything to my sister or does this mean anything to my younger brother? I mean,
Jack,
I did
your
ask
kids
them and I know the answer to that, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Jack, do your kids know what Naked Gun?
Oh,
Like,
God, no.
Yeah,
No. I have tried to pitch them watching these movies several times, and they are just like, this looks stupid.
What if you say Wisconsin's Own?
Wisconsin's Own. That's
Yeah.
right.
Does that work?
No, it does not.
Do we
unfortunately.
think
Who's Wisconsin's Own in it?
Zuckers?
Zuckers?
Right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry. Wow.
Yeah, Friends of Wisconsin.
Zuckers. And
Honorary friends of the shows.
my small
Both of them.
both of them is the person who invented where I do improv comedy sports, worked with the Zucker brothers in the Kentucky Fried Theater, and so and worked on like Airplane and Kentucky Fried Movie and whatnot. Dick Chudnow, inventor of comedy sports, where the person who helped teach me improv comedy. So
Dick Chud is a very funny name.
Dick Chudnow is a phenomenally funny name.
Yeah. Is that a real, that's
That
like
is his actual
Christian name?
Yes, Richard Chudnow is his actual name.
That's really good. My question for
it's
you
his
guys.
Christian name because he is Jewish.
Sure. Okay. My question is, do we think Liam Neeson can work as a comedic actor for the length of a feature film? He's proven it in the past in bite-sized doses. I think there's his cameo in Atlanta. There was that show with Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, extras. No, not
Extras.
Life is Short. Life is Short. Sorry.
Life is Short.
Life is
Yeah,
short.
yeah.
Yep.
And he was very good in that one scene in Ted 2 is the best thing in Ted 2. I would argue.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah.
So those are we're talking about moments. This is going to be assumably
They add up
a
to maybe
95
minutes
movie.
of screen time in total.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we think, or does it matter if this is just going to be a series of vignettes and like goofs? Does it matter? And seemingly a wide bench of random folks to come in for occasional goofs.
He's the problem is give me 1 second here. The problem is my problem is now I'm forgetting the name of the original actor.
Leslie Nielsen.
Wow.
Leslie Nielsen.
Okay, so he is
If you would have just kept saying Liam Neeson a couple times in a row,
Liam
you would've got there.
Leslie
You would've-
Nielsen.
yeah, you
Liam
would've-
Neeson,
yeah.
Leslie Nielsen. That's a great tongue twister, by
Yeah.
the way. Liam Neeson is Leslie Nielsen. I don't think Liam Neeson is as charismatic or charming as Leslie Nielsen. He is a phenomenal actor, but not as charming. And so you can ride the Naked Gun wave with Leslie Nielsen. But like you said, these kinds of movies only work because they are so many jokes per minute that if one doesn't hit, it doesn't matter. There's 3 more coming your way. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be fine if the jokes keep coming. If they can keep up that pace.
I will say the thing I actually liked about the trailer is that it feels like it is tailored to Neeson. Like it feels like it's not. We gave like Neeson a script that we would have written for Nielsen 14 years ago or whatever, 15 years ago. We instead like tailor the script specifically to him, where he has that opening monologue about like, once you kill a man, there's no going back. There's a voice inside your head that keeps repeating over and over. That was awesome. Like it is very specifically tailored to like the kind of movie star that Neeson is.
Yes.
And so like while Neeson may not be as charismatic as Nielsen, like to the point where like, you just drop Nielsen in anything. Like Nielsen just went off and did his own stuff. He worked with, he worked with Brooks, but he worked with the Zaz. He went off, he did Spy Hard with directors that nobody can even remember. Like Nielsen could be a draw onto himself, a brand of comedy onto himself. I do think it helps that like Neeson very clearly has a framework here of people, including Seth MacFarlane, who have used him before and who have worked with him before and with whom he is very comfortable. And it does feel like, to Marty's point, he has warmed the tires a little bit by doing things like Atlanta, by doing things like Derry Girls, even in Ireland, the Northern Irish period sitcom, where he is part of, I believe, the series finale of like Derry Girls. Inexplicably, he just shows up. It's like, it is like the biggest Irish actor of the moment, just randomly showing up on a half-hour sitcom to be like, I was here too. But it is, I do trust that he is in hands that know how to use him to his abilities. So even if he maybe has a more limited skill set and doesn't have that kind of warm charisma that Nielsen does, I think that, it'll help. I do also think that like Anderson is probably going to make up for a lot of that, where Anderson has, over the past couple of years, emerged as this incredibly charismatic, likable performer. I say emerged as if she wasn't always, but the way that she has been over like promoting like The Last Showgirl and stuff like that, over like the discussions around Pam and Tommy, like Anderson has done a great deal in making herself this kind of very, witty, smart, urbane woman who is like a presence who you like spending time with, beyond whatever reasons to indulge in stereotypes you might have wanted to spend time with her in the 90s. But
before, she wasn't necessarily charismatic, as she was mostly nude in a bathing suit. Now she has some charm.
Just like wasn't given the opportunity to be charismatic.
No, I mean, I'm not going to pretend movies in the 90s were using Pamela Anderson to the best of her ability. I don't think the writers on Barbed Wire were sitting down going, what's Pam's vision of the character? Like, how do we tailor this to get the real Pam across to audiences? Whereas I do feel like she now has more control of her own narrative. But like, I think in the trailer, what little we see of her, she is good, giving, and game, which is what you want from like a partner in a movie like that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
The take a chair joke, which is playing in the corner.
That was a good goof.
It's incredible. Like it is.
The other thing to note is like comedies like this historically underperformed at the box office. Airplane was a dud. I'm not sure if the first Naked Gun was a hit or not. But
it was based on a canceled TV show. Like,
that's right. It was based off of like the 8 episodes of Police Files or whatever. Police Squad. So, these things, generally speaking, do not play well in cinemas. They do play incredibly well upon multiple rewatches, almost things that are built for modern day streaming services. And so, like, I do wonder if I wonder how short the window is going to be upon like theater release versus VOD release, because this is something that can really shine upon multiple rewatches, not necessarily in theaters.
But it's
almost surprising to me that it's not.
Yeah,
it's almost surprising to me that it's not going straight to streaming. I mean, I'm glad it's going in theater. I miss in high school, college, like going. It felt like during the summer, every other week, a big comedy would come out, and if you'd see it opening weekend, it'd be a full theater and people laughing. And it's similar to a horror movie where like you feed off that a little bit, and you get like a secondhand high off people laughing or people being afraid, and that's nice and an experience you can't just have at home. I have a laugh track in my living room that I hit though, so that I don't feel lonely when I'm watching comedies.
Yeah, a full 25-point surround system, so you get the
full So when I'm watching the new Murders in the Building, everyone's laughing at Martin Sheen the same way I'm. Nope, Martin Short. I got 3 seasons into The West Wing and realized I was watching the wrong show, and I'm like, when's someone gonna get murdered?
What's one of the great jokes in the Muppet Show is when they like stuff Martin Short full of like spaghetti bolognese, and at the end Gonzo complains now he's Martin Short and fat. One of the great jokes. But like, to the point about this,
is Gonzo a bully? Let's discuss. No,
Have you seen how he treats those chickens? Like, I don't think
they're his lovers.
Plural
we gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Yeah.
I don't want to dig anything into this.
This is the hole you have dug for yourself, Marty. We have to follow through.
But like to your point about like this wondering why this isn't going to streaming, like it does feel like this is the same thing that happened with like Mission Impossible, which is Paramount is fattening itself up for a Sail to Skydance. The adults are out of the room. There is nobody to stop Paramount from doing stuff like releasing a Naked Gun movie in theaters in August 2025, where the performance of this is largely immaterial. I want to well because I like comedies, as you say, in large theaters, but I do also understand that like the box office performance of this does not matter. Anybody who greenlit this movie is losing their job no matter what happens, and are going to be like they're going to be replaced by an army of new suits. Are going to have a new vision for the studio, so it does not matter whatsoever how this movie performs. I just wish it does well because I like, as you say, movies, comedies in theaters. I like laughing with the crowd.
It would be nice. It would be nice to have comedies back again.
Yeah, seriously. Like they're thriving on TV, but that's different. Like I want like a 90-minute movie. I know. Also, we got to get away from that Judd Apatow like 2 hour and 40-minute comedy. That's not a comedy. That's too long. too long. I'm done. I'm done laughing. At 95 minutes, I'm done laughing. Let me go home.
Well, I mean, isn't that how Funny People works? It's like you laugh for 90 minutes and then you just sit there for an hour in stony silence.
Yeah.
Like from what I remember of my screening of like Funny People.
Yeah. For a second, I thought you were talking about Funny Games, and I was like, well, that was. I don't know if I was laughing a bunch in the opening 90 minutes. Like that was a home invasion.
But then it gets serious.
But then it gets serious at the end.
Yeah.
I forgot Akiva's previous movie was the Chip and Dale movie, which I really liked. And I have not thought about in 3 years. I thought was really good. Did you see it, Jack? Chip and Dale's Rescue
Rangers? I saw
Rangers?
it, and I believe we talked about it on some sort of podcast. I remember incredibly not liking it. That's what I remember.
So it's John Mulaney and the Lonely Island guy, right? It was
and
the other one was John Mulaney.
Jamie Sandberg.
Andy Samberg, as the two.
Yeah. Great movie. 2 out of 3 people agree. Great movie. Consult your doctor. Before moving on to a little meaty discussion on that on the little meaty discussion of the Predator, a couple super chats came in. Thank you so much. I see so many familiar faces in the Green Gang here in chat. Members of the Patreon, thank you all so much. And right off the top, Quintuple A with a $10 dono. Thank you so much, Darren. What's your review of the X-Men and Star Trek: The Next Generation crossover? What the hell is this?
It's from the 90s. Are we talking about the comic book or the novel? Because I think there is there we go. There's a comic book, but I think there is also a novel.
I feel like you're probably talking about the comic book, but if you have thoughts on the novel, I want to hear it as well.
Well, they were also like just released like side by side, I think, as well. Because the joke was, I believe this may even predate the casting of Patrick Stewart. It's like, geez, Captain Picard and Professor X. They look pretty similar, don't they?
Oh, no.
They're two bald men in their 50s. I remember having a decent enough time with those. I'm not, crossovers are hard, particularly comic book crossovers. They can feel kind of mercenary. They're serving a lot of different masters at the same time. Everybody has to have a moment. There's, often less on emphasis on plot. I remember thinking that they were both fine. Was Peter David the architect of them? Shout out to Peter David, who passed away recently. One of the great comic book writers, one of the great Star Trek writers. I think like his work on the Star Trek franchise is incredible. If you haven't read it, I recommend his Imzadi book. And I really liked some of his New Frontier series as well, actually. I would shout those out. And while we're talking about comic book crossovers, I'm actually at the moment really enjoying the inexplicably good Avengers versus Aliens crossover from Issad Rabik and Jonathan Hickman. I am it is the most A-team disposable crossover ever written, where it's like the two guys who did Marvel's Secret Wars, the comic book on which the upcoming movie Secret Wars is based, or largely based, or half based, depending on how you count it. The guys who are responsible for redefining the Marvel Cinematic Universe are like, yeah, you know what? We'll come back and we'll do 4 episodes of Avengers fighting aliens, or 4 issues of Avengers fighting aliens. And you know what? Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good. The rare writer who has managed to capture Michael Fassbender's voice in prose.
David is in it?
Oh yeah, David's all over this bad boy. That's the thing. When I open it up, I'm like, I was not expecting so much David. And the David of Prometheus and Alien Covenant, where I'm reading it and I feel sexually harassed. Where he's like, oh, playing possum. I'll have to remember that. And I'm like,
Ooh. Is this going to awaken something in me? Yes, it will.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
Some shame of my own.
I opened a tab for that one. That looks like an amazing read. Yeah.
There you go.
Inexplicably good.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it does not seem like it has no business being good.
No.
John Brooks with a 10-pound dono. Thank you so much. Take this for Jack's meds. Also, Predator KOK was amazing. Oh, Killer of Killers. Sorry.
Killer of Killers.
Killer of Killers. Okay, Jack's meds because you were talking like an old man. And I just read that as Predator cock, and I couldn't unthink. This Predator cock was amazing, and I'm like,
I do think that's how we need to refer to it.
On it? Is that like,
Oh God! It's like a duck's. It's a corkscrew.
Yeah, sure. It just turns invisible every once in a while. I was in the pool. Snake in the Garden with a €2 dono. Thank you so much, Jack. I finally had Bunch of Crunch. They were great. Snake took a trip to America, not for Bunch of Crunch, but for work. And was looking for Bunch of Crunch, couldn't find it until leaving SFO Airport. Got the last bag in San Francisco. It was like the last Marine out of Vietnam, out of Saigon.
I'm
the last homeless man in San Francisco. Like I thought you were gonna go like the last Bunch of Crunch in San Francisco.
I think
before it's petrified.
Yeah,
it's very, very good. The problem, to me, as someone who is a big snacker when watching a movie, I finish my snacks and popcorn before the movie starts because I start horking it all. And so you get like a Reese's, you get very peanut buttery, then you just get weighed down. The Rice Krispie adds a nice lightness to the Bunch of Crunch. Really goes well with salty, buttery popcorn.
Honestly, one could say it's healthy. One could say
that.
One could say a lot of things.
I did show up to like my F1 press screening yesterday morning with a big bag of popcorn and a big tub of Pepsi, and my excuse was, look, people have oats for breakfast. This is practically the same thing. It's mostly corn, right?
Right.
Right?
Corn and oats are not the same thing. I'm just going to put that out.
Listen, people have syrup on their pancakes. What's
That's
corn?
exactly
Corn syrup?
I mean,
See, it's totally fine.
Not to jump into a culture thing, but Americans do dessert for breakfast, and it's very strange.
Yes.
That's
true.
Yeah,
donuts and coffee cake. And...
Our waffles are made of potato. And I go over to America. That's not what waffles are.
Waffles are made of potato.
Yeah, potato waffles. They're like little grids. Do a little Google.
Okay. No, I mean, it sounds like good. It just sounds different than a waffle.
Yeah. So
like
when
a latke, like a potato pancake.
When I went to America and ordered waffle and eggs, I was very surprised with.
Yeah.
That you got
very
two giant donuts. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Also, when you said I took a bag of popcorn to the movie, I'm picturing like a big garbage bag of popcorn. Just like you carry it around like Santa.
Shit out. Yeah, they were just throwing this shit out.
Hell yeah.
Avalanche with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. She went balls in their arena. She went balls in their arena. I was hoping that was like I thought that was like a Red Letter Media something. I thought that might have been like a Secret Jack thing. No,
if it is, apparent Jack is old man Jack this morning, so I can't remember. But
I googled it and it said that is not a phrase, which I didn't know Google did that.
AI gets really sassy. You
know what? Everything started off not as a phrase until it became a phrase. So think about that, AI.
That's right.
Raven with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Raven. Pop quiz, Marty. Do you remember what lugubrious means? I don't. Raven's word of the week. I believe bad or disappointed. That sounds right. My thing is I'm supposed to remember what it is because they keep saying what it is. But my thing is, I'm not going to remember it. So just use it in a sentence. If you use it in a sentence.
But you not being able to remember what lugubrious means makes you feel lugubrious.
Yeah, but if you said that if you use that in a sentence, I still wouldn't know what it meant. If you asked me tomorrow, if you said that sentence, I'd be like, hungry, tired, ornery.
Frustrated, angry.
Yeah. Frustrated. It's got to be one of the emotions. I'm going to get to them eventually. No, there's too many words. I know I'm maxed out with words. And so if I learn a new one, I got to delete another one. So I have to figure out which word I want to delete. And as of right now, I don't have any words I want to delete.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
Yeah, I use all
style.
Exactly.
Style's just gone.
Oh no, I need it. Pure Pyro, thank you so much. Thoughts on a million ways.
Somebody is referencing Ballerina. Is it a Ballerina reference?
Oh, a Ballerina reference. That could have been a Ballerina.
Avalanche. Yep,
on the arena.
She went balls in their arena. Gotcha.
Balls arena.
Yeah, I think the problem was if that came when we started talking about it, I'd have Ballerina on the mind.
Yeah,
but I don't even think I've mentioned Ballerina yet. I think I might have put it in the title or something. And Darren has a great video on it today. But the ball's in her arena. It's like the ball's in her court, but in an arena. Pure Pyro, thank you so much. 2 members in the Green Gang. Thoughts on A Million Ways to Die in the West? I didn't mind it in theaters. I have not seen it since, so it's probably not good.
I did not.
I have not seen it except for
McFarlane Western, right?
In YouTube Shorts, I get like a minute and 30-second segments of it, and I go, "Oh, that's fun," and then I never think about it again.
You watch Quibi. You watch Quibbies of it. The way Katzenberg intended.
Yes. I watched the Quibi cut of A Million Ways to Die.
New Chinese soap opera. Isn't that the thing? New Chinese soap operas are a minute long.
Love it. I love it.
Little micros. Sussy Guru with a €5 dono. Thank you so much. Neeson already demonstrated his ability for deadpan comedy in his I've Got Full-Blown AIDS sketch. Again, I think he's got comedy in doses. We're talking about skits and sketches and cameos, though.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit worried just about a 90 minutes. I'd like to be proven wrong.
But the flip side is that wasn't like before Airplane. Nielsen was primarily known for
That's right.
playing straight men,
true.
right?
That's right, which I literally cannot imagine.
And if you had said before Taken that like Oscar Schindler is an action hero, would anybody have taken you serious?
Sure. Yeah.
Taken you seriously. Yeah.
A couple of takens.
Yeah. Leslie Nielsen was in an episode of the Twilight Zone, correct? Am I misremembering? He was in a very dramatic role in the Twilight Zone episode. I want to say I might be making things up, as apparently my brain is detached from itself today.
Which Twilight Zone version? Are we talking the Jordan Peele one? Or are we going back to the 80s with Spielberg?
No, yeah, Ron
Sterling?
Katzenberg, Sterling, the Rod Sterling
like the original
version.
One.
Yeah, I believe I might be breaking brains.
He was in a movie called Twilight Theater, and that's the only thing that shows up Twilight on his filmography.
Then everything's wrong in my world.
But Twilight Theater, Steve Martin's Twilight Theater. I don't know what that is.
So
I watched 6 seasons of The West Wing, and Steve Martin never showed up, and I was angry.
Not to suggest that AI is broken and the future in which we live in is destroyed and that like nothing means anything anymore. I did type Liam Neeson Twilight Zone into Google, and AI told me, and I'm sure this is entirely accurate, in the Twilight Zone episode Living Doll, a talking doll named Talkie Tina makes threats referencing Liam Neeson's Taken character. The doll tells the stepfather that she'll make his life like Liam Neeson in Taken. Then keep in mind this is a season 5 episode of the original Twilight Zone series, which aired by my own account like 50, 60 years before Taken was actually made. Not to say AI is cooked, but maybe AI is cooked.
For a second, you were reading that. I'm like, no, none of this adds up.
Amazing.
Incredible.
You will get this reference in 60 years, she says when you pull the string again.
Dead Internet Theory wins again. Eric used the Green Gang membership chat over in YouTube. Fun fact, it is legal to bring your own food to cinemas in Argentina. However, they don't like that, and there's often fines in place. I mean, can't they can't fine you. Don't they just tell you
if it's legal,
can't bring it?
Yeah.
Like they could just say you can't do that, but they could make you pay like for another ticket. You got to buy both seats next to you.
Ooh, like a food surcharge. Like you can bring in your own food, but we charge an extra
a corking fee.
Ooh.
There you go. Zarthur, thank you so much for the dono. Jack, we need to get Marty with another D's nuts joke. We'll do the following. Oh no, he's the one reading. Abort mission. Abort. I think Jack has nightmares about his D's nuts joke.
You know, it's tough. There's so many of them. There's so many avenues to a D's nuts joke, and I am not a D's nuts aficionado, and so I don't know all the proper avenues in.
Sure.
So I'll work on it though, Zarthur.
Yeah, you'll write a You'll write a thesis on all this. Excellent. We'll save the rest of the super chats. Let's talk about Predator. Let's talk about the killers. New Predator movie came out. This is the second Predator movie from director Dan Trachtenberg. He's got a third coming out, another live action one, Predator Badlands, which I saw apparently a leaked poster of, and it looked wonderful. Like I didn't realize. Like I don't. If we could talk about I feel like this isn't. If this is going to be on the poster, I don't think it's a spoiler, right?
I think we could talk about it, maybe.
Okay, so the Predator Badlands, his next Predator movie, which then we're going to get back to, stars a Predator, and it stars Elle Fanning, as a synthetic, like what looks like a Weyland-Yutani synthetic. However, their relationship is that she has no lower torso, and the Predator is carrying her in his backpack like fucking Lone Wolf and Cub, and it looks sick as hell.
And into that,
and Cloud City, like it's Chewbacca and C-3PO. Yeah. It's the burly big guy who can't talk, and like the effete, slightly British accented robot. Like it's very obviously like somebody saw The Empire Strikes Back, was like, that is a movie.
Yeah.
Like
So I'm all aboard for Dan Trachtenberg and his modern vision of Predator. But I guess starting off, what did we think of Prey, and then transitioning into what did we think of Predator Killers? Jack, what did you think?
I mean, I did a rewatch of Prey yesterday just to kind of like get back in the mood for a Predator. And Prey's a great movie. It's a really fun action movie, a really fun Predator movie. I'm going to put it up there along with the original. It's like, oh, this is what I want with a Predator movie. I want I want the Predator to kill a bunch of people, and then I want our hero to do something clever to beat the Predator. Yay! So I did that rewatch, and that was great. Killer of Killers is, I think, wonderful overall. This is how I'm going to start. This is a good movie. It's like, oh, we get really fun action. I like the animation style. I think they went a little too hard with the frame rate. Like we needed to dial up the frame rate just a little bit. It's a little too stuttery at the beginning, but looks phenomenal. Action is great. All the little stories. Oh, we're dealing with loss. We're dealing with your place in the world. We're dealing with emotions while also murdering a bunch of people. Love it. It opens up too much Predator lore for me to like it on the back end. Like if you think about it even a little bit longer, it kind of breaks the entire universe. And it also means, if we are to take Killer of Killers seriously, it also means that anyone who has won in a Predator movie has actually not won, and that kind of sucks, actually, if you think about it. So it kind of
nodding enthusiastically at that.
It ruins every other Predator movie that you've ever watched.
Counterpoint, Jack.
Okay,
As somebody who loves, loves alien species, loves science fiction, etc. My favorite, science fiction trope is the honor-bound alien culture that is entirely full of shit. Right? I'm thinking of the Klingons on Star Trek, right?
Of course, classic.
The Klingons are the great, where they're all that, it's honor. Honor will be respected. Honor demands sacrifice. Honor demands this. And every single Star Trek show builds to the point where they're like, well, actually, it's politically expedient for us not to do that. It's kind of if you wouldn't mind keeping that one a bit to yourself, that'd be great for the rest of us. Where it becomes a thematic point. You have Worf say, I think is in war there is nothing more honorable than victory. When Klingons are just hanging out shooting survivors, fleeing from construction sites. Yes. Or that moment I think in the final season of Deep Space Nine where Ezri sits Worf down and says, when was the last time you, Worf, a Klingon, met a Klingon that you actually respect, that you actually think is worthy of being a Klingon culture? And the Predator, this is something that I do find slightly frustrating about the way that we fan lore these alien species. The Predator has this mythology that builds around among fans of being this incredibly honorable hunting species. They have a deep code of honor, and you can see in some of the movies. I think most obviously in Alien versus Predator, where Paul W.S. Anderson
There we
different
go.
Paul Anderson.
Incredibly different.
Slightly a little different. But Paul W.S. Anderson indulges his own auteurish tendencies and turns the Predator into a wife guy, where he's there to enable the female protagonist of that movie, to hold her up on his shoulders so that she could succeed. Like, he's a Predator who is leaning in, as it were. But generally speaking, for all that we talk about the Predator being like an honorable species, they are consistently cheating fucking bastards.
Yeah.
Like, the entire ending of the first Predator movie is Arnie beats the Predator, right?
Yeah.
The Predator is dead to rights. What does the Predator do? He reaches to his little armband and he activates a thermonuclear warhead, right? And you could say, look, he's just covering up the presence of aliens on Earth. And it's like,
no.
Yeah,
he was about to lose his online match, and so he pulled the Ethernet cord so it didn't count as a loss. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the vibe of like all of the Predators. If you watch the movies kind of back to back, they are like constantly chaining each other up and torturing them. Like, this movie features a sequence, not to jump into spoilers, in which a Predator hunts 1940s biplanes from inside a cloaked, harpoon-wielding spaceship with giant lasers. The Predators have never been an honorable species.
Yeah.
And so, like, to your point, like, the end of this movie, which reveals that nobody who ever won a contest against the Predator actually got to live happily ever after, to me feels like entirely in keeping with everything we have learned about the Predators.
Okay, you are correct that is lore correct. It doesn't make me feel good about watching any of the other movies.
Fair. Like, I know that, like, Predator 2, where they give Danny Glover the gun, and it's like, part of me is like, does that mean that, like, the Predator in Predator 2 was just that much of an asshole? That, like, when he died, his friends and families were like, look, good job. We'll give you this.
Yeah.
It's like,
He had it coming, honestly.
yeah. Never liked that guy anyway.
Or theoretically, they just picked him up later. Or like after they gave him the gun, like we cut to credits. Then they're like, oh, one more thing. Zoop.
But like, you try to leave while he's still on the ship is the thing. If you watch Predator 2, they do not wait for Danny Glover to leave before they're like, okay, firing up the engines and heading home.
So maybe that is the true ending of Predator 2. And so like it is tough, and it's extra tough if we just zoom out in sci-fi in general. The more we sit in any sci-fi realm, the less sense it's going to make, and that is true of anything, of even phenomenal sci-fi works. I kept thinking of, I made a snarky little joke on social media about like, I want to visit the Predator nerds, like the nerd Predators. By the way, we've skipped way ahead. The premise of Killer of Killers is, it is 3 small vignettes of kind of like famous, killers in human history and their battle with a predator. As it turns out, all 3 of them are then after they killed their predator, are captured by the predator people, cryogenically frozen, and chosen to fight together in a pit of honor. That's the blanket premise.
Honor, where they cannot speak to each other and have to kill each other for the amusement of the predators. Like,
correct. Oh, total dick move.
And when they refuse to do so, the predators just release a giant monster that will eat them anyway. Like, it's Pit of Honor is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, Jack.
Fair. I retract Pit of Honor.
It's a pit of predator honor, which is a very different kind of honor.
They have to fight in a pit. No honor, just a pit. And it's really phenomenal. But like, if we start to think about some of the lore implications, so one of them is a World War II fighter pilot who ends up besting a predator in a spaceship, in an armored spaceship with like magic gravity harpoons and lasers. It's a fun action sequence. It's a very fun action sequence. Later, after this pilot, after the war is over, after he returns to his Florida home, is then captured by predators, which, if we are to take that to its logical conclusion, means that the predator race has a team of forensic scientists who are able to recreate a battle in World War II to figure out exactly the one human who killed the predator. That's insane.
I ask you, like, Jack, again, this is my own headcanon of Predator lore is that, like, if you look at our world, right?
Yeah.
Who are the people in our world who do big game hunting? They are typically, they're not like men with like glistening kind of like six packs and like armor belts thrown over their shoulder and long wavy hair. They're often like disgraced dentists with too much money who want to go
rich
shoot
chicken hawks. Yeah.
That's it. Who want to go shoot a lion who's already been tracked, right? I can guarantee you, if I ran a safari service and a tranquilized lion killed a disgraced dentist, I would have to like track down that lion and like put it down in a very public way in order to convince people that it is perfectly safe to safari on Earth. You guys can still go to Earth. It's okay. Safaring is a-okay. It's perfectly safe. Don't worry about it.
You like, there is worlds in which this is correct. The other aspect of this, to me, that helps just break the world a little bit is we go through a swath of human history. Like we are we see obviously with Prey, like we see like early America, we see Vikings, we see samurai warriors, we see World War II. Our civilization has changed dramatically. The Predator civilization, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there is no like thousands of years of cultural change, not for those predators.
My thought is that they have time travel.
Interesting.
Oh,
that was kind of my thought, is that it's like interdimensional, like 4D shit going on. It's not that they've been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years. It's that they're doing it from one pinpoint, but they have the ability to be like, ooh, we heard that like these samurai were fucking shit up, so let's go back then. Or like, oh man, we heard World War II, that was nuts. Let's see what's going on over there.
I love the idea that like this is a bubble tea type craze on like the Predator planet, where it's just like a concentrated 3 weeks where everybody's like, we're hunting humans, and it's like,
it's gonna be a fad, it's gonna pass. People are gonna get bored. They'll move on to the next thing.
We gotta have variety, samurai, indigenous Americans.
but see, this is now like
hunt
this
from
is
the comfort of your own ship.
Yeah.
This is the scenario I want. I want a Predator flipping through a catalog, like looking for karaoke songs, being like, tell me about the Americas pre-revolution. Ooh.
Do you think you could get me on the gay sub from Final Reckoning? That's the question that I have.
Someone asking.
Oh my god, we're gonna pass Jermaine Tillman frozen in fucking carbonite. Yeah.
And then like the one weird Predator who's like, pirates. I just like pirates.
Why are you wearing an eye patch? It's culturally sensitive.
I know, I'm going to be a pirate too. It's going to be great.
You mentioned the idea of like Predator accountants or whatever, like visiting like the Predator nerds. I do love, like, my favorite little guy in this movie is like after they kill the giant monster creature, because of course they kill the giant monster creature in the arena. There's one poor Predator dude whose job is to hop on a little bulldozer motorcycle, ride out one side of the arena and push the body into the pit on the other side of the arena. And I'm just like, that guy must like love his job. His job must be so fulfilling for him.
Yeah, monster Zamboni driver.
All carcasses. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. It is funny though when you line up all the people who've beat a Predator, and it's like this amazing samurai warrior, this amazing Viking, this World War II pilot, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny Glover. It's just funny. It's just a funny mix.
Adrian Brody.
And
the big surprise is that he did it while not wearing dreadlocks.
Oh my god, that clip gives me the shudders. I do
and he
not
somehow
like
still won. He still
got an Oscar. Perfect.
And I feel like we're sorry, go ahead there, Jackson.
Oh, I was just gonna say, all of these things from my perspective, all of these things are, fun, nerdy, like little nitpicks that we can have fun with, because at the end of the day, if we are watching a movie that involves a Predator, all we are looking for is neat action sequences. That's it. And Killer of Killers has that in spades. It has 4 separate amazing action arenas to play in: a cold Viking, samurai warrior, World War II pilots, and alien pit. It's neat. It's a cool movie.
Darren, you did a great job of sort of unpacking, like, thematically why each of those 20-minute segments works really well. So I know, Darren, you were a fan of the vignette approach, right?
No, I did. I loved it. And like, this is the thing where it's like, for me, as much as we joke about Predator lore, the last thing I want is actual Predator lore. Not just because I've already cracked it and I already understand. I don't need you to explain to me how like the Predator Safari time travel service works. I got it in here. Yep. It's all good. But like, no, more seriously though, like the worst thing you can do to a concept like Predator is over-explain it and over-articulate it and over-explain it. And like, it is very telling that when you do that, you end up with movies like Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which is about like a predator cleaner or whatever, or The Predator, which is about like, why do predators rip the spines out of their victims? It's like, well, I guess because they're taking trips. No. They're harvesting autism. And I'm like, I liked it better when they were just taking trophies, if you don't mind. Yes. Can we, I want to leave this conversation if that's okay with you. It's like, no. Global warming too is in here. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Yeah. You keep doing what you're doing. The Predator is an infinitely adaptable concept, and part of the beauty of the Predator is the idea of like, you could just take the Predator and drop it, as you said, into any situation and have any amount of fun with it, where it's like, it is stunning to me that it has taken this long to do Predator versus Indigenous American, Predator versus Samurai, Predator versus Viking, Predator dogfighting. These are all like great ideas. And it has taken so long for the franchise to get to them. And I do love that the anthology is like such a perfect way that it can burn through those ideas without ever feeling repetitive. Like spending 20 minutes on a Viking and 20 minutes on a samurai and 20 minutes on dogfighting means that it's not an entire movie. It also, to my mind, like does a wonderful thing of like freeing it up to be a little bit experimental, where like the second of these segments is, barring the start and the end, entirely silent. There is no dialogue in the second sequence. And it's like, can you imagine going into Walt Disney Studios and sitting down and going, so for my next live-action Predator movie, I'm thinking like a 100-minute silent movie set in feudal Japan? You would be laughed out of the building, but within the framework of an animated anthology where you only have to fill 20 minutes, you can get away with it. Or even like, I think the third installment is the weakest of the three, the dogfighting one. But it's also like the one that is most experimental because it's not the Predator on the ground hunting people through a wilderness. It's something new and exciting, and it's like, I don't know if I went to an entire Predator movie that was like that I would feel like got a full Predator meal from it. But the fact that it's there with two Predator movies that are already doing the Predator hunt somebody on the ground means that I'm like, I'm open to it. I'm willing to try it. It's a nice new approach, and we're doing something new and something interesting.
Absolutely.
And like, I really, really, really found myself like, the fact that this movie does so much more than it needs to, where like, it is animated, as we talked about, and Trachtenberg's talked about it. It has to be animated because it is set in 4 different time periods, which would require like 3 different protagonists, several different, like, you would not only have to design individual costumes, but individual set pieces, individual props, individual like wardrobe departments for each of those time periods and those action sequences. You could not do this in live action. It has to be done in animation. It's the only way to do this. But the movie also leans into animation, where it is stylized in a way that live action cannot be. And Trachtenberg has said, like, things like the character going out on the wing of his plane in the third story, or doing the trench run through the streets of Morocco in the third story, are things that you could not do in live action because you'd be laughed at in the cinema. They just would not work visually in live action. But because it's animation, you can get away with it. And this movie does so much of that. I think like being able to tell that story visually in the second one is because it's in animation, you know, the way in which like it is able to do things like the incredible quote unquote long take, as much as long takes exist in animation, but where they fight through the castle in the first story where the camera's weaving back and forth would be next to impossible to realize in live action with all those characters, all those props, all those set pieces, all those stunts, all those squibs, all those cues. But in animation, you can make it work entirely fluidly. Like it is a movie that takes advantage of like its form, its premise, its anthology setting, and even the fact it's a streaming movie to do things that you could not do in a live action theatrical movie. And I kind of love that about it, where it's like, it does feel like Trachtenberg, and to be clear, his co-writers and his co-directors, including Joshua Zung, who writes at who works at the third floor, were all like, we have been given the opportunity to make an animated streaming Predator anthology. How do we maximize the like efficiency of that? How do we tailor a movie that takes advantage of the opportunities that provides that we would not have if we were making Prey 2 or later in the year Badlands? And like finally, the thing that I love about it is like Prey and like Badlands, these don't feel like movies that came from a bunch of executives in a C-suite pointing at Star Wars and saying, why can't we do that with look at the list. Predator. That's a franchise we own. Why can't we do that with Predator, right? This instead feels like, to Trachtenberg's point about like where his idea for Prey came from, the kind of idea that like a 12-year-old comes up with in the back of like a carpool on the way to karate while they're like high on sugar, describing the plot of Predator to one another. It's like, yeah, but in my movie, the Predator's going to fight a Native American. Mine's going to be dumb. That is, in my movie, the Predator's going to be the hero. And it's like, those are like, that is exactly where you want to pitch a Predator movie. You don't want to pitch it, for me, you don't want to pitch it where the Predator is, which is, well, actually, what I want is an extended overarching mythology for the entire Predator franchise that explains in great detail why the Predators do what they do and what their greater purpose is and the thematic resonance of the franchise. What you want is, can the Predator fight a dude with a katana? And it's like, yes, he can, and yes, he does. And I'm like,
can the Predator have like a sonic blast arm ray? Fuck yeah, he can.
What if it hits a shield? Oh my god, could you imagine what would happen?
But like, even things like, you have to do the bit where the person is like, because the Predator hunts using heat vision, how does the person like become invisible? And it's like, you have to solve that problem in 3 different settings, which is incredible. Where it's like, you solved the water, going in cold water. That disperses your body heat and the Predator can't see you. You're like, amazing. What if they turn off the engine of their plane? It's like, that is incredible. We're doing, like, it is so much. You can tell that, like, while these shorts were being developed, everybody in the room was like, what if? And then, yes, and it is like, that is, not always the best way to make, like, high art or whatever that is. It may not even be the best way to make, say, an Alien movie or whatever. But for the Predator franchise, that is exactly what I want from it.
And at the same time, it's not a detriment to kind of the themes, because each of the stories has a core theme that ends up coming back all together in the last one, whether it's kind of letting go of your anger in the first one, like letting go of your thirst for revenge, the communication or lack thereof in the second one, and then sort of learning to overcome the adversity of someone telling you can't do something in the third one. And then each of those has its own little micro story, and it's 20 minutes, and then they all come into play in the wraparound story, in the ending, when all 3 of those things have to happen. Like, by the end of it, even though we'd spent only, I guess, 20 minutes with each character, like, by the time they all got together, I was like, oh fuck, hell yeah, like, I care about these 3 people, even though I've spent the length of a sitcom episode with each one, and I'm excited to see how they gel together.
Yeah, and it's all entirely earned as well, where you have the moment where, like, Ursa reconciles for the loss of her son by, like, seeing her boys. She calls them, "You will not claim my boys."
My boys.
She has 2 surrogate children. You have obviously the samurai whose like brother died. He like walks the cockpit and he calls Torres, "We have escaped, brother." Like, there is like, I'm not going to pretend it's like deep or complex or like multifaceted, but these are 3 20-minute animated movies about like aliens hunting people through dramatic action set pieces, and they land all of their dramatic and character arcs in a way that is entirely satisfying. Where like, even if you look at like the third story and like the Predator dogfighting thing, that is just such an elegant way of going, well, we're gonna have a samurai and a Viking on a Predator world, and we want them to escape at the end. We need somebody who can fly a Predator ship. And that's it. Like, it is so elegant and so smooth in terms of everything in that movie serves a clear purpose, but without ever seeming like heavy-handed and clumsy. Everything serves a purpose, but everything is there because it makes sense, which is an incredibly deft balancing act in any action blockbuster. I gesture at like modern blockbusters in general, but in an animated anthology series going straight to streaming, this is so far above where this movie needs to be, which I love it so much.
No, this is a high watermark for these kinds of IP. I don't want to call it a throwaway, but like, this why hasn't this been done before? Why? I really was hoping the third one was going to be cowboys, but because we got
save it for a sequel. Gotta save something for a sequel.
No, and of course, like, obviously, like, we did start this with playfully complaining about canon and how the world makes sense. At the end of the day, none of how the world makes sense matters, because we get awesome action sequences, and of course, it has set up now we can have infinite number of these. They have hundreds and thousands of humans from all sorts of different time periods, and I do hope they make more because they're incredibly fun.
Yeah, if they made one of these every few years, I'd be like, yes, I would absolutely tune in to a neat little animated anthology every few years.
Absolutely.
I mean, isn't the argument that like this is where Disney Plus needs to be? Because one of the big issues with Disney Plus is that like they can't keep sending like the premium stuff that costs blockbuster money to streaming. They've cut down on making Star Wars shows. They're sending that to cinemas with like The Mandalorian and Grogu next May. They've argued that like they're going to cut down on like Marvel production, and only Marvel film characters are going to appear in any of the Marvel streaming content, for example. Like, and the argument, like, I don't know this for a fact, but if you ask me to take an educated guess, the reason why Killer of Killers was greenlit by Disney, not the reason that like they wanted to make it, not the reason why Trachtenberg and Third Floor, they all have their own reasons for making it. Trachtenberg was like, I want to do an anthology. The Third Floor were like, we want to animate an entire movie. But the reason that like Disney said yes to that idea is because like they were originally planning to send Badlands straight to streaming, and Prey performed so well and streaming imploded so badly that they were like, we cannot sink this amount of money and goodwill on streaming. We're going to do what we're doing, what we did with Moana 2, what we did with Lilo and Stitch, what we're doing with Freaky Friday later this year. We need to get this off streaming and into theaters so we can actually make money off it. But that leaves a big gap in our schedule. And like, this is, to me, the ideal of what you should be filling gaps in your schedule with. Like, if you have IP that you want to separate theatrically and streaming, this is like the best possible streaming, I hate the word, content for a brand that you own, where it's like, this is exactly what I want, where it's like, it's satisfying, it's fun, I loved it on its own terms, but also I still have room to watch Badlands in a couple of months. Like, I'm not stuffed full of, I've had so much Predator that I can't possibly eat a feature film version starring Elle Fanning. It's like, no, my appetite is whetted. Like, it is for me exactly what streaming should be.
Yeah, something about this clicked with me a lot heavier than Star Wars Visions did, which is weird because I like Star Wars more than I like Predator, obviously. But Star Wars Visions, I kind of just, I've watched both seasons of it. I didn't dislike it, but only a few of them kind of really stuck with me. Whereas with this, like, I was engaged the entire way through. Like, I will rewatch this and enjoy this. And I haven't grown tired of I know, Jack, you said you were a little iffy on we don't have a term for it. The term Casey and I keep using, even though it's pejorative when we don't want it to be pejorative, is slot motion. SLOP, slot motion animation. The frame rate. We like it. But I like the term slot motion. So
I like it as well. And by the way, as you get into the movie, or as I got into the movie, it faded into the distance. But it was that first
kind of
like
jarring
3 minutes that they're on the boat. That's what it seemed like. It was like, wait, is my internet connection okay? Because everyone is so stuttery, and eventually your brain finds the rhythm. And so it was just a tough transition. But I do like, that Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots' Last Wish style of animation, which I'm very,
the
very
Turtle
happy
movie
with.
from the other year.
Oh yeah, in the Turtles movie, correct. Slot motion.
Casey doesn't like it, but
I don't like it either.
I think he secretly likes it. Yeah, I know. I thought this was good. Really, really excited for Badlands. Interesting. It's gonna be curious to me to see the excitement I have here if this could carry over. Obviously, a very different take on a similar franchise, but Alien Earth. The upcoming series where the aliens come to Earth.
The Noah Hawley alien.
The Noah Hawley series, where aliens come to Earth. But like, see, because we talked about it here on the show. Oh my God, what was the last alien movie name? Romulus. Had some problems with it. I thought it was. You remember that one? Old Man Jack's back. Some of it.
Get away from her, you recycle intellectual property.
Oh, that's not David. What was his name? David too?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It's.
I can't remember.
It was really good. I think it's an A. Is it an? No, it's not Andy.
Yeah.
Andy. It's Andy.
Andy, that was it. He was
Andy
really good.
the android. Yes.
Andy the android. Oh, that's a good name for an android. Yeah,
he's a great character, but that moment I'm like, no.
Yeah, we didn't need to do that, and we didn't need to bring Ian Holm back to life. I don't know if he's dead, but we didn't need to bring him back to life. Sorry if I killed you.
Kill him.
if he's not alive, if he's not dead, we should kill him anyways. But yeah, I'll be curious about that. Cool. A couple more super chats before we get to all the other stuff we've been watching. Blenda, thank you so much for re-upping the tip jar. Appreciate you, Blenda. Double Finger with a €5 dono. My headcanon for that arena in Killer of Killers. People got to stop calling it KOK. My brain is reading it as cock.
Cook?
My headcanon for the arena in Killer of Killers is it being a Yucha version of Fight Club organized by a bunch of incel predators to feel strong and manly. I like the idea that like a predator mom is gonna like look into her basement and be like, "What are you kids doing down there?"
Pull them by the mandible away.
Yeah.
Like, I love, by the way, that closing shot of like as they're fleeing, like the predator war chief, who, by the way, and again, this is the right level of fan service, who has like the alien tails as his like little cape. It's never mentioned and it's never drawn attention to, but it's like that is the right level for me of kind of like fan service. It's like I don't need to see an alien. I just need to have like he's wearing a little alien cape. But the moment where he raises his like little stick and they all run to their ships, I'm like, it's really convenient that we all parked right outside the arena. Like,
yeah. You think someone parked really far away? It's like, shit, it's gonna take me a while. Yeah, gotta wait for an Uber to get there. Good stuff. Raven with another $2 dono. Thank you, Raven. Jack, how many episodes are in this season of Adventure Is Nigh? Tell us, Jack.
There are 11 episodes. We had to split the final. We filmed 10 episodes, but episode 10. So normally when we film an episode, it's about 2 to 2.5 hours long that we then cut down to an hour 15. The episode 10 we filmed, it went 4 hours and 45 minutes. So we are splitting it into 2 episodes. Episode 10 will be out. Is it this Saturday? No, it's next Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday, because previous weekend was one.
Correct. So episode 10 will be out next Saturday, and then episode 11 is the final episode.
Yeah, so Saturday the 28th will be episode 10, and then the finale should be Saturday, July 12th.
Yep, and we are animating episode 10 now. I'm editing episode 11 now, which is part of the reason why my brain is so fractured.
Staring at timelines and
just staring at different timelines and trying to figure out how it pieces all together. But 11.
There you go. Fungus Finder with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. Never seen Naked Gun. Will I get the sequel's plot? No, it's also going to be lore heavy. As long as you know that OJ allegedly killed his wife and a waiter, I think you'll be fine for the goose. I think there's a lot of goose that I think are going to be.
You think they're going to do the OJ thing particularly heavy? Like, I feel like the trailer is just the right amount of OJ in the mix, as it were.
I think the joke might go a fraction longer in the actual movie, but I hope that's the only OJ joke.
Okay. See,
how much are they going to squeeze out of that, eh?
Oh,
that was very tasteless. Joke. It was also tasteless.
No, that was a great juice joke. No, that was just juice humor. We can make juice humor.
No, but they don't want to make it too loose. You don't want to make the juices loose. Yeah.
God damn. Remember Kato? What's he up to?
I do.
Shout to Kato. Friend of the show?
No.
Right. Never mind. I was just asking. Sussy Guru. Do we have to have like a 2/3 vote if someone's a friend of the show or not? You can't just be like, Mussolini, friend of the show, right? And other people can be like, no, Mussolini's not a friend of the show. He was bad.
I feel like there are several issues with Mussolini being friend of the show. Him being bad is like one of the like second or third, like down the list.
There you go. Sussy Guru, thank you so much for a €5 dono. Maybe Redacted being frozen on the ship just to explain why the Predators in Predator 2 had the pistol from Prey. I haven't rewatched Predator 2 in a very long time. Is that a thing? They have like the old timey pistol in
there is the joke that like the most like at this point recurring character in the Predator franchise is the gun, because the gun is the gun that they give Danny Glover, but it's also the gun that Naru receives. And so the explanation is that and again, like I love that Trachtenberg doesn't care about lore and is quite explicit about not caring about lore. And so he has said you can situate the chronology of this any way you want, right? So the logical way of explaining it is Naru gets the gun, they abduct Naru, they take the gun off Naru, they give the gun to Torres, Torres drops the gun before he gets in the ship, they pick up the gun, they give it to Danny Glover. My preferred way, which is incredibly more convoluted, of doing this is Naru gets the gun, they get the gun off Naru, They give the gun to Danny Glover. They come back. They kidnap Danny Glover, take the gun back, give the gun to Torres. Torres drops the gun, and they're like, "Man, we really just love this gun." Like, but the
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pistol.
yeah. But like, I think Trachtenberg has said the thing about Naru is just to remind people that he still cares about Naru. That it's like that character is still important to me as like a writer and director, and I do want to get back to her. And there is some suggestion that Naru could become the franchise's first returning protagonist. I also like we mentioned like before we move off Killers. One thing I absolutely unequivocally loved about this is that it is not like Prey. It is not a suffocating nostalgia fest. Like it avoids the Alien Romulus thing. I don't think anybody calls a Predator an ugly motherfucker at any point in this movie, for example. And while they do get to the flying vehicle, nobody says get to the chopper, for example. Like it avoids doing the clumsy stuff that franchises often do. And many of the references are direct references to Prey, which makes sense because Prey is the last movie in the franchise. Yeah. It was released only a couple of years ago. It is warmly regarded, and it was made by the same director who made this. So you can count the cameo of Naru, for example, or the gun, or the fact that the trailers and the poster are all blasted with from the director of Prey as like just reminding you of a cool movie you saw 3 years ago, instead of doing the thing that all legacy sequels much do now of like having a CGI Arnie show up to help them hold the gun at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I really like that the movie just trusts itself to stand on its own 2 feet. I also want to say, great thing about doing that is that like if you don't recycle the Predator music for Prey, like Prey came up with its own themes and its own score and its own music, it means that when you do bring back Naru, you can play the theme from Prey and people will recognize it as the theme from Prey. When Naru shows up and they play the Prey music, I'm like, I am all in on that. And you could not do that if Prey had just done the Predator music. Like, anyway, like I really like
delayed gratification, like withholding things so that when you release them again, they're special. This is the crazy talk, Darren.
We need to open up the Disney vault again. That's what we need to do. Things need to go back.
Throw things inside it.
Yeah. Throw people in the vault for a while. It's fine.
We open it and Mickey comes out like you kind of like stubble. And we're like, "Where's Goofy?" It's like, well, you didn't leave any food in the vault, right?
I can't tell you. To go Killers of Killers again. So there is a moment where we do get to see more people who are kind of frozen in carbonite or however they do it. And obviously we see the protagonist from Prey. We see, I believe, is that an alien creature that we kind of first see? It was a little muddled.
It's not the alien. I was actually like, when I got my screener of it, like, and I saw it in low resolution, I was worried it was an alien queen. But in high resolution, it is just a generic alien.
It is just a generic alien. We see our protagonist from Prey. We also see some like general human forms. Shockingly, and on a great note, there is no Arnold Schwarzenegger there. Like, phenomenal choice not to have Arnie there. Because
bringing back like Brody
forward. They are moving forward as a franchise. Thank Christ.
If only all franchises could be so bold. David Hill with a $5 donut. What
do we reckon the odds are on Arnie making a cameo in the Predator after he dies? Like, what do we reckon? Like, the only thing stopping Arnie from returning to a Predator movie is his death. Like, the fact that he is still breathing. Like, that is the one thing keeping him out of a Predator movie at the moment.
Could he be in an animated one? Because he voiced one of the main characters of one of the shorts in Secret Level, the video game thing the other year. Last year, Amazon Secret Level. So,
and he's doing FUBAR and stuff like that. He is open now to more things. But like, I think Arnie doesn't care about Predator, which is incredible. Like, Predator is one of the great Arnie movies, but like, he doesn't talk about it like he talks about twins.
Conan.
Like, that's it. But that's exactly it. It's like he attached himself to Terminator. He keeps referencing twins at every possible opportunity. He's talked about wanting to do triplets. He's talked about wanting to do King Conan.
Yeah.
He has never of his own volition said, I want to do a Predator movie. I want to do a Predator sequel. When the entire like Predator cast were like gathering around Prey and Amber Midthunder, like Arnie's social media feed was entirely silent, except apart from like a donkey. I think that was the time when he had a donkey and he was all over social media about how much he loved his donkey. But like, it was not in a malicious way. I'm not saying he was like blanking Prey, but it's like, it is just not on Schwarzenegger's radar. Yeah. Schwarzenegger doesn't seem to think about like Predator as an Arnie movie, which is surreal because it is so much an Arnie movie.
Now thinking the donkey thing was him seeing Shrek and wanting to be a live action Shrek. Get out of my swamp.
He's trying to lure Eddie Murphy to triplets. Isn't that the big pitch? Like it's supposed to be him, DeVito, and Murphy. Yeah, like
I would argue, like, not to make this a deep Predator dive, but I would argue that Predator is a subversion of an Arnie movie. It starts out as an Arnie movie and then just turns into a slasher flick, which Arnie probably does not want to be involved with. So for him, he was like, "Wait a minute, I'm not
like under too many logs in this movie."
Exactly.
I like the first half of Predator.
Yes, I can 100% see that.
David Hill with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, David Hill. My favorite scene is when Bobby Predator turns and says, "Dad, this isn't right," and then he and Hank Predator pack up the truck and go home. Bobby and Hank, I think that's a King of the Hill reference.
That is 100% a King of the Hill reference. I assume there is an episode of King of the Hill where they go hunting and Bobby doesn't want to go hunting.
Oh, that's a good
Hank,
assumption.
Who probably likes hunting, but is a better father, goes along with his son. That's only context clues. I've watched a lot of King of the Hill. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Do we think the Predator hunters get like canceled on Predator World? Like, do we think Predator social media like approves of what they're doing out there?
like the dentist who went like big game hunting? Like, are there like is there like a liberal sect of the Predator homeworld who is tweeting
wearing business suits? Like,
yeah. And they're fans of like Danny Glover and Amber Midthunder. Like, hell yeah, good. It's good that you took him out.
Hashtag I'm with her.
Sussy Guru with a €2 dono. I still want a Predator versus Herroian. Herroian
from Star Trek Voyager. The very obvious Predator knockoffs who appeared in the fourth season of Star Trek Voyager. Like, which is great. And honestly, the fourth season of Voyager, its best season. The Herroian episodes, generally some of its best episodes, including, off the top of my head, Hunter's Prey, which is great, which is Alien versus Predator, the discount IP version, in which a Herroian hunts a species 8472, and the Herroian is played by Tony frickin' Todd, who I love so much, and who we lost recently, which is great. And then The Killing Game at the end of the season, which is their big blockbuster two-parter, in which the Predators, to Marty's point, about like how he thinks Predator culture operates. The big reveal in like The Killing Game is that the Herroian have taken over Voyager and are using its holodecks to recreate classic moments from human history where they can organize hunts. So they're like, let's recreate the Second World War and go hunt the French Resistance. Let's recreate like the Klingon Civil War and let's go hunt Klingon. Like, it is like, to your point, Marty, Star Trek did it first. But yeah, I think the Herroian episodes are great.
Yeah, there you go. Herroian. John Brooks hasn't been a member for a year. Thank you so much, John. Darren, Predator versus Coluhan Hound of Ulster. Go. Culholland Hound of Ulster.
Hound of Ulster. Yeah, I would love to see like a good old Celtic movie. I do wonder though, like if
what is explain this to
again, just figure from Irish folklore.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, Irish
Coluhan.
folklore.
That's a character you can get in Persona. It's like an Irish warrior you can get in Persona. Should I explain? Classic Ireland stealing from Japanese.
My work is done here. I don't feel like I need to elaborate on that anymore. But like, I do wonder though, like, and again, part of me is like, this is why I'm excited for Badlands, is that like, we have wanted for so long to have Predator hunts historical, like, cultural icons, like samurai, like Vikings, like Indigenous Americans or whatever. We have done like 3 of those in the past couple of years. I like that Badlands is like, let's just do future. Let's do Predator hunts in the future. We're like, it kind of, I do wonder if we've kind of gone to the well enough for the moment of like historical hunts, as cool as it would be to do the Celts, and as much as that would, again, open up the thematic like framework that, and again, we talk about how much dumb fun these movies are. But Trachtenberg is like engaged with the themes of Predator, where like the first Predator is about like colonialism and imperialism. It's about American foreign policy during the Reagan era. It's about a bunch of people going where they shouldn't be going, killing who they shouldn't be killing, and assuming that they're above the law, and also a bunch of commandos sent by Reagan into Central America.
Politics in movies did not exist before the year 2000.
No, clearly.
You're right. Hashtag is the Predator woke now. When we talked about Prey, I think it was Stacey Growden, the wonderful Stacey Growden, made the argument the Predator is an ally, just based on the order in which he kills people in the original Predator. One of the great arguments about pop culture. I want to shout out Stacey's theory here. But like, I do like that we're jumping into the future now and doing kind of like, what if the Predator fights, or what if the Predator's working with a robot and fighting in the future? Like, I like the idea of doing that, where it's like, again, so many Predator comics, so many of them bad. One of my favorite Predator comics is the tie-in to, is it like Fire and Blood, the terrible event that Dark Horse did in like 2017 after Alien Covenant. But like the pitch of that is just like, we dropped the Predator into the opening act of Aliens. So we pit two Vietnam metaphors against each other and had them fight. And I'm like, this is such a great idea. How come nobody has hit on the idea that it is more interesting to have the Predator fight colonial Marines than it is to have it fight the alien again? Like, it is like to ram two Vietnam science fiction metaphors into each other and watch the ensuing carnage. But yeah, so I certainly would not object to a Celtic Predator movie. But I do also I am excited by the prospect of like not historical Predator movies.
Yeah. Yeah. See, it'll be a very fun experiment. And it's like, clearly this team has earned so much goodwill. Dare I say, I'm excited for it, and I'm not nervous at all like I am with like the Naked Gun like we talked about. I can just be excited for something.
It is also a weird crossroads, though. It feels a little bit like going back to Nolan and Batman, to where I'd also like Dan Trachtenberg to be able to do this movies.
Oh, yes. Sure.
Because I guess his only feature film before this was 10 Cloverfield Lane, right? Which was incredible. Amazing, but also
John
part of the
Goodman
thing.
Should have got an Oscar nomination for that.
Yeah, seriously, remarkable. Like, I would just love to see him be able to. And I know he did some Portal short films and kind of was, I think, loosely attached to something with that and J.J. Abrams.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you loved him. Yeah, you referenced this when we talked about Prey. You referenced that Portal short that he did.
That's right. The show. I'm still subscribed to that YouTube channel. Yeah, they haven't uploaded a thing in 20 years. But
listeners, you can help Jack with his medication right now. All it takes is a small donation.
I think in the arms of the angel. Right. Yeah, Dan Trachtenberg. Good. Tassadar, thank you so much for the dono. Hey guys, I finally graduated uni after 5 long years and wanted to thank you for all the great background noise that both this podcast and the 250 provided me along the way. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much. Congrats. That's huge.
That's incredible. Fantastic.
Yeah. Way to set out to do something and actually do it. As someone who often sets out to do something and just stops doing it halfway through, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Congrats. Saucy Guru, thank you so much for a €5 dono. Remember in The Predator, a character screams, "Get to the choppers," and the camera pans to some motorcycles? Pure cinema. I do not, but that's very good.
Andrew on the 250 loved that. We cover the Predator franchise. Andrew was a strong proponent of that moment as like pure cinema in Martin Scorsese terms. Where I was pointing that as like an example of the movie peering down the torrential horizon, and Andrew's counterpoint was, but it's funny. And I was like, okay.
Counterpoint.
Counterpoint.
It's a good fair counterpoint.
He hit the little buzzer.
And then Eric with a dono, which we've told him many times is illegal. Fun fact, Megami Tensei's second mascot, Jack O'Lantern, is based on Irish mythology as well. I believe that's an O'Lantern Irish joke.
But also, have we learned nothing from the Halloween franchise that the Irish are entirely let me see if I can pronounce.
To be honest, I have learned nothing from the Halloween franchise, if we're being honest.
Sam Hain?
Sam Hain?
Sam Hain? Everybody's favorite villain, Samuel Hain. Samhain, to be clear, is how you pronounce that.
That's not how Glenn Danzig pronounces it.
Shout out to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, a movie about how the most evil people in the world are Irish Americans.
Do you think that director just had a real axe to grind?
No, it is very obviously reverse engineered from, well, we need to delve into the origins of Halloween as a holiday. And it's the finger landed on Irish. And to be honest, as an Irish person, I'm quite happy that the racial stereotype in that movie is Irish because it makes it easier for me to enjoy it. I feel like if it had landed on any other ethnic group, I'd be a little bit like, I don't know. Yeah.
Could have been real bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Halloween Season of the Witch is incredible. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Season of the Witch is incredible.
Yeah.
Sinners also taught me that the Irish are bad.
It was so incredible they never made another Halloween anywhere close to resembling it.
Yeah. So again, back to the Lonely Island thing of so incredible, but nobody went to see it. So this is what you're stuck with, baby. And like it's great because every once in a while they'll be like, should we bring back Halloween 3? Should we try Halloween 3 again? Where like they have, I think the jingle appears in like Halloween Ends, the movie that most thematically resembles Halloween 3 in the franchise. And everyone's like, get this shit out of my Halloween movie. And then they're like, okay, we're going to do a Halloween TV show. Maybe it should be set in the world of Halloween 3. And immediately the reaction is, get that shit out of my Halloween
get
TV.
It out of here. How dare you? That's good stuff. Okay, besides Predator, what other nonsense have we been consuming lately? Darren, I know you and I both watched Ballerina. You have a video that just went up earlier today. Your episode of The Backdrop on Ballerina. Did you do a Wick rewatch? I did a full Wick rewatch, and let me tell you, it was delightful. Those movies, very good.
Shockingly, like 5 pretty good movies. I think like Ballerina is for me the weakest of the 5, but it's still pretty good. Like it's a very high floor where it's like it's 3 and Ballerina are pretty good times of the movies, and then 1, 2, and 4 are like some of the best action movies that have ever been made. Just an incredible experience, incredibly well made movies, incredibly crafted. While we're referencing the video, just to shout out Jesse Schwab, the editor on that, who does a tremendous job always. But like often makes me laugh out loud at the videos that I have written, which is an impossible thing to do on paper. But like when that Tom Cruise bit appeared in the video edit, which was not something I had expected. Incredible. Shout out to Jesse. Wonderful work. Like stunning.
Phenomenal editor. Absolutely.
I thought Ballerina, I mostly want to know what actually went on during this production, because it sounds like it was an incredibly troubled production that had a movie shot, and then Chad Stahelski may have gone back and reshot a bunch of it, and cobbled stuff together. You could kind of feel the bones of something cobbled together along the ways in here, in a way that I don't feel like the Wick movies had. And honestly, I saw it, I believe, I may have saw this a few days after Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, and I felt a similar thing to that, to where it was like, we shot a lot of footage and we'll figure out what the movie is afterwards.
Well, like the Norman Reedus character is the most obvious thing, where like the Norman Reedus character has like 3 different arcs that could be happening over the course of that movie, and it changes its opinion of what he's doing every 10 minutes or so, which is really jarring.
Really, Ballerina. I thought the action set pieces, I think there's a handful of them that were phenomenal. Some of my favorite among the franchise, and I really like Ana de Armas. I thought, I liked her. I think the first thing I ever clocked her in was, obviously she has a small role in Blade Runner 2049, but in Knives Out. But then playing a very different role that I think she kind of steals the show in the last Bond movie, in No Time to Die.
Her action set piece in that is incredible, and is very much an audition for this. Like it is like a 1 scene audition for give me a John Wick action. Deserved. Like I could have gone without. I don't think we needed
John Wick himself to make a cameo again in this. I also don't think we needed John Wick 5 unless he's literally fighting his way out of hell, but I guess we'll see.
I mean, like that's the thing where they say that this was always the plan, and like the narrative is, and I know people are going to be in the comments, like, because there's been back and forth. The early rumor was the original cut was bad, and they needed to come up and spice up the action, and that's why Stahelski stepped in. I think it's since been clarified that like, and this is not any better, even though he frames it like it's better. They ran out of money and so didn't actually shoot the movie they wanted to shoot. So then showed them what they had and went back and shot the movie with money. And I'm like, that is also a bad thing. It is a bad thing that you did not finish the movie the first time around. You almost had a Snowman situation. The famous Thomas Alfredson movie where they literally did not shoot half of the script because they ran out of money. If you want
was
to understand
that movie's deal? I thought it was just bad.
Yeah. No, well, it is bad. Well, it is bad. But like most of the movies done by ADR and voiceover because they just did not shoot large portions of the script because they ran out of money. And I don't know if it's because they weren't given enough money, or because production costs went up, or because Alfredson is just really bad at budgeting with his producers. But it is a bad thing to happen on your movie to go, well, we'll get it next time. It's like, we got it in the bag mostly. Can we go back and finish? Like, going back to fix it is bad. Going back to finish it is also not good.
Yeah. Those are two flavors of not good.
Yeah.
But, and it is like, to the point about the Wick stuff is so obviously parachuted in ways that is frustrating, where, like, and this is not exaggerating for people who have not seen the movie. At the climax of this movie, while Ana de Armas is in the middle of a confrontation with an army led by Gabriel Byrne, the great Irish actor Gabriel Byrne literally gets on loudspeaker and declares, "Okay, everybody, positions. We got Keanu Reeves arriving. Everybody gonna just take a break for 10 minutes. We'll come back afterwards. Gonna let this whole little subplot of a movie play out, and then we'll get back to the climax of the movie that we're shooting. Promise you that." It is so surreal because it is literally like he is not like parachuted in from another movie, but the way that he arrives in this movie is designed to make you think that he was literally parachuted in from another movie, where he is driven to this movie by train to get him into the plot of this movie in a way that is very jarring. And if it was always the intent, it doesn't feel that way. It feels very like you could take that out of the movie and it would mostly work. Like, you could take Wick out of particularly the second half of the movie, and the movie would like progress largely in the same way. And I get it's nice to have Keanu Reeves appear. It's nice to have that reunion between Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas, building off Eli Roth's classic Knock Knock, everybody's favorite movie from 2015.
Oh, those movies where they like seduce them and then they won't leave.
Yeah. Everybody's worst nightmare being
that
like
movie.
being
That was
seduced
her?
by Ana de Armas and she was one of the two girls, yes. But like being trapped in your own house and forced to have sex with Ana de Armas.
Oh no, but
like,
you won't leave.
from the twisted mind of Eli Roth. That is a movie that is like messed up in ways that are not interesting or like fun. It is just like sad and boring and bad. But like, as fun as it is to have Reeves in any movie, it does feel a bit distracting here, where I'm like, I like Eve. I like Ana de Armas. I like this story that you're telling me about this woman who was stolen as a child, who is trying to stop another child from being stolen. That is enough for me to be invested in this movie. It is strange, but I mean, as you say,
is it like that scene in Austin Powers when he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Burt Bacharach."
He's
like,
just
like, oh, this is a delightful song. Not, doesn't help the movie, but
I mean, it does help the movie. I imagine it greased the box office to $10-15 million.
Oh yeah,
to be honest.
The back of files, all the back of files came out.
Oh no, I'm thinking more the Reeves cameo here. Like,
the Reeves cameo. Oh, sorry. I was just more amazed someone brought up Austin Powers and it wasn't me.
No,
always bet on back. But yeah,
I liked it. Yeah. But yeah, by all accounts, this movie did not do well. Correct?
I'm not
box
sure.
office.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think
Lionsgate not having a good run of things. I guess it's going to be Hunger Games prequels until the end of time then.
They just keep adding cast members. I mean, there can't be this many people in this movie.
Glenn Close is the latest one, right?
Yeah, it's obscene. Yeah. Finally gonna get her Oscar.
That would be. Come on, tell me that wouldn't be incredible. Like, for the second Hunger Games prequel, Glenn Close. And shout out to Eric for pulling up the box office results there for like John Wick Ballerina.
Hold on, we're getting there.
Yeah, 91 million, not great. No.
Yeah. Turns out that fake relationship between her and Tom Cruise didn't help either movie.
Very real heterosexual relationship.
Entirely real. Do you want to get this podcast pulled again, Marty?
I forgot every time we bring him up, the internet dies. That was
which is the plot of like Final Reckoning, to be clear as well.
That was a big thing I watched. Jack, did you watch anything else?
I did. I snuck in. I was on an incredible movie drought as I've been knee deep in editing. So I haven't actually watched a movie until yesterday. I watched 3 movies yesterday, and it was fantastic. I haven't watched a movie in like 2 weeks, which is very unusual.
Did you forget how to do it?
I was just editing, just work. Oh
no, I mean, like when you tried to watch your first new movie, were you like, "What do I do with my hands during this movie?"
So I wanted
to be at all.
This is a Tubi.
I wanted to ease in to the movie watching experience. So the first movie I watched before The Predators, to get my brain back on the wavelength, I'll just watch a silly comedy based off of a subject material that's very close and personal to my heart. And heads up for anyone who feels like leaving the podcast early, I might go on an elongated rant about the importance of improv comedy. Oh, it's gonna be bad.
You think there was room for improvement?
Yes. And also the movie is terrible. I watched the Amazon original Deep Cover. This is Okay, so the premise of the movie is that the British police forces hire a group of improv comedians to do low-level undercover work, because improv comedians are really good at thinking on their feet. But it escalates into getting them way too deep into the world of underground undercover crime and whatnot. It stars. Let's see here.
Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, Nick Mohammed, Paddy Considine, Ian McShane, Sean Bean.
One of the writers is Colin Trevorrow, that's not a great sign.
It's the team that helps write like the newer Jurassic World movies, which is probably why Bryce Dallas Howard is in it. It is what is it? Nick Mohammed plays Nick Mohammed, the same character that he plays in Ted Lasso, which is kind of a little shy, mumbling man who's looking for a little more confidence. Orlando Bloom's plays an actor who takes himself way too seriously, so he starts doing improv so he can loosen up a little bit. And Bryce Dallas Howard is the improv teacher who guides them through this world. And it is just a big ton of no fun whatsoever.
You're telling me that the improv comedy from the writer of the Jurassic World movies, starring noted comedian Bryce Dallas Howard, barrel of fun movie star charisma popping off the screen, Orlando Bloom. You're telling me that this movie wasn't the most fun you have had at theaters. And I want to be clear. I like all the... Well, okay. I don't like all those people, but I've got no problem with Bloom, and I like Howard. But I can see that not landing.
Where did this come from? This came out 4 days ago on Amazon. Yes. What is this movie?
I only know about it because I am deeply in the improv community, and we have been discussing whether or not this will be good or bad for weeks now.
Good or bad, as a movie, or good or bad for the improv community? Because I do like the idea of you guys holding meetings that people don't rush to judgment. Nobody might see it.
Nobody might see it. No, I mean, obviously, there have been boons to the improv community. Whose Line Is It Anyway? Rising to popularity did great for us. A lot of people see that. They come and take classes.
What was the Apatow revolution for you?
Apatow killed improv.
Okay.
Damn it, Judd Apatow! Everyone's enthusiasm for improv comedy. As soon as his movie started hitting that 3-4 hour mark, people were done with improv. In general, it was a wasteland. It
wasn't improv's fault. It was just nothing needs to be that long.
Well, but that also started the boon of every sitcom had an improv episode where all the writers who love improv comedy decided to poke fun at the thing they love in their shows. But all the general audience saw was how much everyone hated improv comedy. In any case, where was I? So, could this be another boon to improv? A funny movie starring the life tenements of improv comedy? No. By the way, if you are going to write a movie in which the central theme is people who do improv solve crimes, you might want to write one of your characters who actually likes doing improv. Everybody hates improv in this movie.
But also, you might want to hire people who are known for improv.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just leaving the camera? Again, I got no problem with Orlando Bloom, but I don't imagine when you leave the camera on Orlando Bloom, you just get gold. It doesn't have the vibe of let Orlando Bloom cook.
I don't think he's ever said words that were not scripted.
Correct.
And he's good at the scripted words. Yeah. I like Lord of the Rings. I like him in Pirates of the Caribbean. Kingdom of Heaven. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that is kind of the character he is playing, which is very funny. He's an actor who just takes himself too seriously. He writes backstories for his 30-second improv scenes. And he's supposed to learn how to loosen up. He never does learn how to loosen up, by the way. If you're looking for basic story structure, Bryce Dallas Howard is a failed actor who reluctantly teaches improv classes. Does she somehow learn how to like her station in life? No. Her plot is never really resolved. Nick Mohammed joins a class because he's looking for just better people skills. He actually does learn a little bit of confidence throughout the movie. It's terribly unfunny, as generic as possible. It is a movie that is like, why was this written? Who was it written for? I can only assume this was some sort of fraud mandate. Where has Bryce Dallas Howard acted in anything in a while? Does she need to like keep up her SAG?
Last year
she was in that one Argyle, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she was in Argyle.
Yeah,
which everybody remembers and was a massive hit. Don't Google that.
But
the movie that killed Apple releasing movies in theaters.
It is a movie that almost seems like a scam. Like it seems like it was shot for an incredibly low amount of money for actors who just needed to keep their SAG cards active.
Also a scam. I think these reviews, it has an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is dumb. Doesn't matter. 89%.
That is shocking.
So, Jack, you didn't find it an enriching experience. You feel quite impoverished after it.
This is what's hurting improv comedy.
Okay, so this is just for the improv heads out there. These puns will only make sense to you. I had many questions, but at the end of the day, I said no. Those are two things you're not supposed to do in improv. Ask questions.
Yes, and whatnot. Yes, and whatnot. Jason Tudor, just to clarify, 89% critics, 81% popometer, 81% normies. So,
like the people demand more improv.
But people
generally
have a terrible sense of humor. People at large generally have a bad sense of humor. So there you go.
You didn't love the Melissa McCarthy like identity thief movie? No,
I think the only one. That was the only one I did like.
The one with Jason Bateman.
No. The one where she keeps lying about all the letters she gets from the drama.
That's not a good.
I thought you were talking about her. I was going to say there's only one Melissa McCarthy movie I like, and it's the drama where she keeps lying about all the...
one with Richard E. Grant. Yeah.
Can You Forgive Me or something like that?
Yes, Can You Ever Forgive Me? I think that is, and again, not to reduce it, but just in terms of comedians, worth noting, is that written by, Jorma Tacone's wife?
My wife.
I think, let me just run. You guys continue improv around that, but...
yes, and I'm here to pick up my prescription.
It's like those of us who are deep in the improv community, obviously, like I do it for fun. I do it for
the wife of Jorma Tacone. Shout out to Marielle Heller.
Nice. Like there are a lot of, like, we do, corporate seminars. We do a lot of things where we actually believe the things we talk about, we drink our own Kool-Aid, where we, apply improv aspects to our real life and, being active listening and opening ourselves up and trying new things and being willing to collaborate with other people. Like there's a ton of Kool-Aid within the improv community. It has been called a cult. And I'm not denying that. And it's like, it's so easy. This script, if it got a second pass by someone who, like, this script was written by someone who, like, their friend took an improv class. That's as deep as it gets into it. If this script got a second pass by someone who actually cared about improv, you could have actually had a little bit of theming along with some of the stupid jokes and action, and it would have been fine. As it turns out, it's just deeply unfun.
Would it have worked better if it was slot motion animated?
Yes. By the way, you prop a predator in there. Like, what clicks mean? I need a job. What name a job of yourself or someone in your family?
Now I want movies we brought up the Robert Pattinson end of Remember Me, where it's a secret 9/11 movie at the 99.7% mark.
Yes.
I want movies to become secret Predator movies at the 99.7% mark, so everything is normal, and then a Predator just kills the person. Like,
Okay,
for you the whole time.
For this next scene, we need the job of you or someone in your family. Okay, I heard Hunter. All right, let's go. This is Hunter.
I like it.
Jack, to your point about this being written by people who don't like improv, it is worth noting that it was written by The Pin, who are a comedy act, who are sketch comedians. I would say that information is itself pretty sketchy.
Is like sketch comedy and improv never the twain shall meet? Is that
sketch is written, isn't it? But Jack,
sketch is written, and the sketch is written, but there is a lot of overlap. And though Tina Fey is most people that work at Saturday Night Live, a ton of improv experience, a ton of sketch experience. There's a ton of overlap in there. I just wish any of that ended up in the movie. It would have been nice if
people get mad if you call sketches skits.
Yes.
What if I don't mean it pejoratively? What if it's just a shorter word? And I think saying skit is more fun than saying sketch.
It doesn't bother me, but I'm not a sketch person. So.
Yeah, you're more of a skit guy.
I'm a skit. Yeah,
little. Is there like a term for improv that would be offensive to you? Like, you're doing your little make believe.
Your make 'em ups. We call them make 'em ups.
Now I'm imagining like the alternate version of this, where it's like a bunch of like sketch comedy fans sitting down to talk about like, I don't know, Bamboozled or. Where it's like, it feels like it's not an accurate representation of the industry. This could have been a great gateway to bring people into the world of sketch comedy, but
I understand our place in the world. So all of art looks down on comedy, and all of comedy looks down on improv. And I do short form improv, so all of improv looks down on short form improv. Like, I understand. I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I'm just asking for a little bit of love here.
You're fucking Bruce Wayne thrown into Bane's pit.
Exactly.
I just want to climb my way out of here. It's gonna be fun.
Exactly.
Is it French movies that will like credit actors and describe them as like from Le Comédie, as in like the school of comedy in France? Like, so when you're watching French movies, or used to when you were in the 90s. Yeah. They used to like credit an individual actor, and they would have like from and the school, like the French school of comedy.
Oh,
so it'd be like,
sure.
Which is like, this person has graduated, has a degree in comedy, which is perhaps the most French way of crediting like a comedian in a comedy.
If we want to go down a deep rabbit hole, like a lot of comedy, a lot of improv, but a lot of comedy in general comes from commedia dell'arte, which is the French study of comedy, as it was the original kind of like stock characters that would appear in written plays, where they would have these like the fanciful duke, the horny girl, the horny man, the maid, the butler. They would have these stock characters, and then as they travel around the French countryside, would adapt these characters to the local aristocrats, which would make people lose their fucking mind.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. Turns out this is not a movie. We should not be watching Deep Cover this weekend.
No, don't watch Deep Cover. It's not fun for anyone.
What's a better movie with Deep that we should watch? Deep Blue Sea, Deep Impact.
You know what? I'm a bit of a sucker for Deep Impact. I don't think it was the best asteroid destroys the Earth movie that came out within that span of those years.
It was probably the second best one, though.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
What about, let's see here. There's got to be a movie called In Too Deep, and I'm sure that's better.
Oh, yeah. There's got to be, right?
There's got to be a movie called In Too Deep.
There was Deep Water. That was, speaking of Ana de Armas, the movie she made with Ben Affleck.
Yes, the Adrian Lyme
that movie was horny. That movie was real horny. Yeah. Holy smokes.
Oh, all right.
That was around the time, like in lockdown, when like streaming services were like, we know what you guys need. Because it's around the time they also did The Voyeurs, which is the one with Sydney Sweeney, and is it Justice Smith as well?
Yeah, from Detective Pikachu.
Yep, and you
just rolled right through there. Not from I saw the TV Glow, from Detective Pikachu.
Yeah. I love the idea of kids being like getting that recommended in their Netflix algorithm. See that you like Justice Smith. Would you like to watch Sydney Sweeney and The Voyeurs? Yes, I believe I would.
Yes, I would.
I think the sad thing about Deep Water was that they were a couple And I was like, oh, this is going to be nice, like a horny movie starring a couple. And then it got delayed a little bit and they broke up. And I was like, I don't want to watch a horny movie about a couple who's not even a couple anymore. This is going to be sad.
but also, like, this is exactly what happened to Affleck with Jiggly. Like, Jiggly, for example. Like, fool me once, shame on me, Ben Affleck. I do also love the observation that, like, Ana de Armas is in another long-term relationship where her partner is clearly having more time hanging out with his best bro friend. This time around.
Yeah. Everything's going to be fine this time. What could possibly go wrong?
Christopher McQuarrie being the Matt Damon to Tom
in this scenario. Yeah. I love that. Jack, anything else? Did you have a two-piece?
Oh, I do have a Tubi recommendation for our To Be Fair segment, in which I recommend everyone to, at very least, get the Tubi app, Tubi, as it is a streaming service that doesn't even require you to log in a ton of great movies and TV shows on it. They do not sponsor us, though we have asked them repeatedly too. This week's Tubi recommendation is the Jake Gyllenhaal creepy masterpiece, Nightcrawler.
Oh, he's great in that. That's by a Gilroy, right? That's one of the Gilroys.
It's Dan, isn't it? It's the guy
Dan
who did,
Gilroy. That's one of the Andor boys.
Also. Yes, but I mean, all of the Gilroys are Andor boys.
Oh, there's all sorts of Gilroys working on Andor. You didn't know?
Yeah, John Gilroy is editing it. Like, Dan Gilroy is writing it. And
listen, that's a real Nepo family. Like, the son, he cast his sons in it.
Yes, he did.
For sons-in-laws.
In a role that everybody loved. But anyway, sorry, Jack.
No, that's fine. Nightcrawler, one of those, wonderful, rare movies that kind of stars the person you hate the most. Real creepy, gritty, beautiful movie. Nightcrawler. Go watch it for free on
Stars
TV.
The person you hate the most. You don't like Jake Gyllenhaal?
No, I think he means his character.
Oh, the character. Gotcha. Sorry. I thought you had something against
a movie
Jake
kind of starring the villain.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of a monster. Yeah.
I like kind of a monster. The movie is kind of ambiguous at that point. The movie really wants you to root for this guy.
For those who haven't seen it, don't want to give too much away.
So Donnie Darko went through a lot of trauma. He had a whole goddamn plane engine fall into his bedroom twice.
It is an incredible performance from like Gyllenhaal, the way that his veins pop and his eyes bulge. It is like, again, the anthropomorphic personification of either cocaine or American capitalism. But it's an incredible performance.
Why not both?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And then Darren, what else have you been watching?
Run through some stuff very quickly, just that's in theaters at the moment. Dangerous Animals, which is the shark movie starring Jai Courtney. Turns out that, I was going to say the best thing to do with Jai Courtney is to let him be Australian, but I've seen Suicide Squad. So I guess let him be Australian in a movie that was made in Australia is probably the way to use. This is the best I have seen Jai Courtney be. I will say it is not a great movie because it has a very obvious structural flaw, which is it is a movie about a serial killer who kills people using sharks, which is a great hook.
Oh, that's a great premise.
It is a fantastic premise. The only problem is that he literally only has 2 to 4 victims over the entire course of the movie, where a character is abducted and the entire movie is him waiting to feed her to the sharks. So you're when are we getting to when are we getting the fireworks factory? Why aren't we there now?
Yeah.
And the movie keeps having to generate events and actions and tertiary characters to delay the inevitable moment where he tries to feed her to the sharks, which you are there to see. And it is incredibly frustrating because I just want to see the sharks. I don't need all the others. I don't need procedural scenes of characters looking for the missing woman when I know that they're not going to find her because he's going to feed her to a shark. I don't need to see her try to escape 4 times and get incredibly far away because these scenes need to last 10 minutes because I know he's going to catch her and feed her to the shark anywhere. If this movie ended in a way that did not involve a shark feeding, I would be really angry. And I know the movie knows that. So everything delaying that feels incredibly cynical and calculated. I will say Courtney is very good. I will say Courtney is having fun. And shark movies are pizza. Even when they're bad, they're not that bad. And this is
what do we think the second best shark movie ever is? Obviously discounting Jaws. What's the best shark movie that's not Jaws?
What's the
Deep
best
Blue Sea is probably the one that jumps out at me.
Open Water? Remember, Open Water was spooky at the time.
No, I actually really like The Shallows of all things.
Oh, The Shallows. That's right. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I what was that French one where they destroyed Paris a little while ago?
the sharks that ate Paris. I think it is like
What was that movie called? That movie was great. At the end, they flood Paris.
I
and
think
the sharks rule.
I think it may be called the sharks that ate Paris.
They literally
under Paris.
You're right. It's under Paris.
Under
right,
Paris.
under Paris,
Yeah, they literally flood Paris, and the end of it is a flooded Paris, and the sharks rule Paris now. So sucks for you, France.
Could this be the start of a terrifying Planet of the Sharks?
Ooh.
Could you imagine? I was about to say them versus the apes, but the apes could just not go in the water and they'd be fine.
Like, again, that is a problem with dangerous animals. Is that like whenever a character is not in water, there is no tension in the movie.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, again, Jai Courtney having a great time. Other stuff that I saw, How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version, which is like, look, depressingly about as good as these movies are going to be, which is that it is not an embarrassment. It is made by somebody who understands the source material, Dean Dubois, who actually co-directed the original movie and directed the 2 sequels. So the movie understands what it is doing and why it is doing it and what the emotional beats of its stories are, which is frankly more than can be said for a lot of these adaptations, including like Lilo and Stitch, which was released a couple of weeks ago. But it is still held back by the fact that like this movie was designed to be animated. The animated version of this movie is the most perfect version of this movie that will ever exist. And the live action one is so slavishly devoted to the original animated movie that it cannot focus on things that live action can do better than the animated movie, because that would create a point of deviation and would devalue the brand, and so cannot be tolerated. So it is fine. It is aggressively competent. And it's like, it is depressing that like this is the ceiling. This is seemingly like the ceiling of what this is going to be. And Universal have already greenlit a second one. They're already talking about getting Cate Blanchett to appear. It has, unlike Ballerina, performed very well at the box office. There are going to be a bajillion of these, and I am a little bit sad about that, unfortunately.
Especially when it's like, this must be the easiest shit ever for what's Hollywood's number one meathead? No, what do we call it? What did you call it?
Jared Butler, our meathead poet laureate.
I'm just like, fuck it, I'll run it back. I'll do the same thing again. I already played this dude before. I'll just do it again.
and he's good. Like, again, he is good. Like, the problem with this movie, and I don't like picking on kid actors because it's not their fault. Acting as a kid is tough. Acting as anybody is tough. Like, acting as an adult around green screen and CGI and having to interact with dragons that aren't really there is incredibly difficult for like trained professional adults who have done it their entire life. One of the big problems with this movie is that like in animated movies, you can cast Jay Baruchel, who I'm guessing was about 45 when he appeared in the original How to Train Your Dragon. I'm kidding. He was probably in his late 20s, but he was an adult, even though he read as a child. And he can give that voice-up performance as Hiccup. And it is, I think, a layered, like nuanced, engaging performance that manages to thread the line between being like wry and funny, but also like sincere and heartfelt. It is a very good vocal performance, right? Asking a child to reproduce that is very, very difficult. And with all due respect to the children in this movie, who I think are fine, to be clear, I'm not denigrating them. I don't think any of them are bad actors, but I do think they are less good than Jay Baruchel, and you could get away with casting Jay Baruchel in the original because it was animated. Like, it's like, and you can't do. Can you imagine putting Jay Baruchel in like dressing him like he's in an 80s like high school comedy? It's like, how do fellow kids? You can't do that in live action. I will also say like there are several sequences where like watching CGI characters ride dragons is like fun and cool, and when they do crash landings, it's funny. Watching like human beings do things that look like that involving crash landings where they are sent like head over heels over a face planted in dirt at incredible speeds from incredible heights, I'm like, there is a part of your brain, and maybe this is just me, and maybe it's a problem with me, I'm willing to accept it's just me, it's not an issue with the movie, but I'm like, it is harder for me to accept that falling off Toothless does not break every bone in Hiccup's body when I know that Hiccup has bones now.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. But again, it is fine. Its emotional beats land. I think Butler is very, very good at it. And yeah, I'm sure like 2 will probably also be fine. Like 2 is a very good movie. It's directed by a guy who made that movie and knows why that movie worked. And while he's operating within constraints that are not his to choose from, he will probably land most of those beats. Like, I'm sure it'll be fine, but it's like
he will land most of those beats because he has already made this movie. It isn't. I did not, like obviously, like I've seen these movies. My kids grew up with these movies. I really enjoyed the animated movies. I have not been paying attention to them. I had no idea the guy who co-directed the movie is directing the same movie.
It's better, Jack.
Oh no!
In 2020, during the pandemic, he was giving obviously everybody was chatting a lot and they're giving a lot of interviews and running masterclasses. And somebody asked Dean DeBlois about this trend of turning animated movies into live action. He's like, it's the laziest paycheck thing you could do. Is his response in 2020? Yeah.
What? And. I mean,
he's probably
has his original notebook, so it would be easy. Like, oh yeah, we just did this.
You don't need the storyboards. You have the movie. You're just pause the animated movie here. And again, very cynical.
Can we get the Blu-ray version, not the DVD version? Yeah. We just really want to.
We got it on 4K. And again, I'm wary of doing this because it is fine. I'm making it sound worse than it is. This is so much better than Snow White. It's so much better than Lilo and Stitch. It's so much better than Beauty and the Beast. It's so much better than The Little Mermaid. It is so much better than most of these movies are, while still being incredibly creatively bankrupt and soul-destroyingly bleak for the state of the medium.
Yeah.
But Toothless in this movie and all of the dragons in this movie look exactly like they do in the original animated movies, because Universal is opening their epic universe, which will include an Isle of Berk, which will include rides based on How to Train Your Dragon, and the models that they use in those rides need to match both the animated and the live action versions of these characters. So they have to look exactly the same, and they have to hit all the same beats, and they have to do all the same stuff, because you have to be able to sell the theme park to both adults who watched the animated version when they were 10 and new 10-year-olds who've been dragged along by those adults to watch the live action movie. It is hard not to be incredibly cynical about it.
No, I think it's very okay to be cynical about this. I did not, I like I said, we are getting to that crazy reciprocal point where we are remaking movies that came out a few years ago from the same people who made that movie.
It's also weird that he also co-directed Lilo and Stitch, the animated one. So in the same 2 or 3 week period, arguably his 2 biggest movies got remade into live action, except he did one of them.
But the thing is, the other guy, it's Chris Saunders who co-directed both of them with him. They worked on Disney together. They worked on Mulan together, I think, as head story artists or whatever, right? But Chris Saunders is still working in animation and is still pushing animation forward. He did the Wild Robot last year, which is that's right. That was a stunningly beautiful piece of animation, and it's pushing what DreamWorks can do in terms of animation forward. And it is so depressing to have the 2 paths in a wood branch ahead of you, and one of them is you will continue redefining what is possible in American animation, or to Jack's point, you will just get to make the pseudo live action version of the movie that you already made for some
an incredibly safe paycheck for the next 10 years of your life. I don't know. I am on Jack's side where I'm I wish this wouldn't happen. I wish people pushed back. But if someone came to me and was here's an incredibly big paycheck for what will amount to something you've already done before, and you just do it again.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. Oh, yeah.
If people were to pay Jack $20 million to make a live action Adventure is Nice.
Sure. Of course. No. I will sell out in a heartbeat. I'm not I'm not against that at all. But we all got bills to pay. Like you said, it's that both sides of the we understand that we're all just here working. What was it? I came across who is oh no, I'm gonna forget his name. The actor who played a little person in Tiptoes.
What is Tiptoes?
Oh my God! You don't know he's and this is not the best place to go with
Peter
this.
Dinklage from Thrones,
who was in Tiptoes. Matthew McConaughey was in Tiptoes. Gary Oldman. So Gary Oldman played a little person in the movie Tiptoes, in which his brother Matthew McConaughey has little people parents, and Peter Dinklage is in it, and a bunch of and it's Matthew McConaughey. It's like a rom-com where Matthew McConaughey's fiance finds out that all of Matthew McConaughey's family are little people.
Is she like
including Gary Oldman?
Including Gary Oldman. Okay,
so Peter Dinklage was in this movie
yes.
as Gary Oldman's best friend. Was he not like, well, this is offensive? Why can't I be that character?
Just
he could be my best friend.
Just recently on the internet, and I swear this will all run back to How to Train Your Dragon. He was doing an interview. I don't know where it was from. I just saw this 5-minute clip on YouTube, and he talked about Tiptoes, and he said, "Okay, I will be very honest with you. I'm an old man now. I can talk freely about Tiptoes now." He goes, "At the time, I'm 40-something years old. I got a couple kids. I had just gotten divorced. I was living in an empty house underneath the Hollywood sign. We were using couch cushions as a couch because I could not afford a couch." Things were looking bad. My agency was I hadn't worked in almost 2 years. My agents weren't working for me, and there was just a giant actors strike. I needed a paycheck. And he goes, but beyond that, me saying yes to this film meant they had another star in the film alongside Matthew McConaughey, so I could greenlight this film. So not only could I get a paycheck, but every single actor, including all of those Little People actors who were also on strike recently, got a paycheck. And he's like, that's how I square it with myself. He goes, the movie I'm going to charitably call a misfire. But he's like, me saying yes to that got all of those actors work.
To be clear, this was a few years before the 20 years ago, before Batman Begins. Because I'm assuming after Batman Begins, he was kind of fine.
He was fine. Yeah, no. But like,
and this would have been also before, I think, his Harry Potter movie. So that makes sense.
Before Harry Potter.
I do love the idea of him being like, Chris, I got one question about this Gordon character.
How tall? Tell me when to stop.
Yeah.
Do it like it's my height, right? No. And so it's like, and like when you are a creative person working in the industry, we do have to remember this is an industry. Like these are the decisions you have to make. Do I want to gamble my family's livelihood on not doing this thing, or do I make the best thing I can because this is what's being offered to me? And so like, I don't want to throw shade at the guy. Obviously, like we can because we're commentators, we're critics, but yeah.
And it's also worth noting that like even like big actors, like Keanu Reeves talked about this, where like when he refused to do Speed 2, he was basically blackballed from the industry for the bones of like 5 to 6 years.
Right.
So, like he had to be like the serial killer in like The Gift, the Sam Raimi movie or whatever, because that was the only part that he could get, because he had in Hollywood's mind turned down the opportunity to let everybody print money. He'd gone up, I believe, to play Shakespeare in Canada or to do Hamlet in Canada. And everybody at the time was like, Keanu Reeves does Hamlet? Oh, crazy. Whoa.
Right. And so if you have a big director who is saying no to one of the few remaining big names in Hollywood, then they check a little thing next to your name saying, oh, he's not willing to work with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, if that can happen to Keanu Reeves, like nobody knows who Dean DeBlas is. Like, Dean DeBlas, like it's not as if like the DeBlas heads are gonna be like out in the streets protesting, being like, "Where's my Dean guy?"
The only person who could get away with that is Will Smith, who apparently also passed on Inception. He said. So not only did he pass on The Matrix, but he passed on Inception.
Well, he's got that bad boy money. He's fine.
To be fair, he does make the case those movies probably pitch very weirdly. Like it's like you have to imagine not having seen The Matrix and not having seen Inception being.
You would think at the very least Inception, you're like, all right, you have your bona fides with the Batman movies. Whereas like, the Wachowskis come in, you're like, all right, you made this horny movie Bound. Yeah. How much money do you want to do what?
Still to this day, one of my favorite videos on YouTube is Will Smith retelling the pitch that the Wachowskis gave him for The Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah.
And it's very understandable why he would say no to that.
Yeah.
But in any case, yes, it's from an artistic standpoint, it is sad, But from a reality standpoint, it is also very understandable why all these things keep getting made. It's just sad. Also, I don't recommend watching Tiptoes. It's not a very good movie.
No, I'm probably gonna.
Did you
Despite the fact that it has
seek
a
out
pretty.
Tiptoes after the interview? Like, did you hear the interview, Jack? And we're like, no, this feels like my jam. Like,
Darren, a lot of my life revolves around watching very bad movies. I have seen Tiptoes well before
It is kind of crazy that Gary Oldman, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette, Matthew McConaughey, and Peter Dinklage. Like, that's a pretty good cast. David Allen Greer. Yeah.
And immediately we agreed that movie did not happen. Like, the best sort of movies are the ones like where everybody is so far behind it and so enthusiastic for it that we are, but then are immediately like, that was a mistake and we will never speak of it again. Like,
oh my God, Michael J. Anderson, from Twin Peaks, plays the dad. Yeah. This is amazing. I'm gonna watch this movie. You did the opposite of what you tried to do, and I'm gonna watch this one.
I guess, and presumably a lot of people listening to this are also bad movie enjoyers or just like general movie enjoyers. I'm just an omnivore. I love every movie, which is why I even love bad movies. There is a guilty pleasure in watching this. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no need to tiptoe around it, Jack.
That was beautiful.
You got anything else? Very quickly, that's in theaters at the moment. F1 the movie, which I love that they call it F1 the movie to distinguish it from F1 the sport, which is obviously the new Joseph Kosinski movie. It's from Apple. It's being distributed by Warner Brothers because Argyle killed like Apple's interest in releasing movies in theaters. It is like, I had a really good time with it. It is like very much, it is a Bruckheimer production. It is from the director of Top Gun Maverick. It is very much being positioned as kind of the Top Gun Maverick to Days of Thunder, except we don't have Tom Cruise and you don't need to have watched Days of Thunder to get it. It's like, what if we applied the Maverick formula of taking an established older movie star and put them in a movie that is like a legacy sequel to a movie that at least has some small amount of cultural cachet, which is Days of Thunder. And I really enjoyed it. It is, as the one person in the world who is like the agnostic when it comes to Top Gun Maverick, who like admires the technical craft of Top Gun Maverick, thinks the IMAX cinematography is incredible. But like, my big issue with that movie is it requires me to believe in Tom Cruise as a normal human being instead of like an unstoppable manifestation of destiny, where it's like, I am a Mission Impossible guy. I am not a Top Gun Maverick guy. You watch Top Gun Maverick, and I do not believe that Tom Cruise has ever had sex in his life. Like, when he's like lying in bed post-coital, completely dressed. And I'm like, yes, this reads to me like the confident account of somebody who knows what sex is like and certainly remembers the sexual experience. But I think that freed of the like burden of like Cruise as a movie star, F1 can like indulge the Kosinski of it all, where Kosinski is this director who I have a great deal of fondness for. He studied, I believe, architecture and engineering in college. He transitioned into feature filmmaking with Tron Legacy. He made Oblivion, which is the Tom Cruise vehicle, and he made Spiderhead the same summer that he released Top Gun Maverick. He is a director who is very interested in like things that look cool and space agey and machinery and constructs and human beings trapped within machinery and constructs and how cool like technology and advances in technology are, and aren't human beings just interchangeable cogs within these vast inhuman machines. And the result of that is like trying to wield that to a conventional sports movie is absolutely fascinating. Where F1 does all of the cliches that you expect from a sports movie. You know, we get the speech about how Sonny Hayes, they're saying you're not a has-been, but a never were. And you got to prove. I know. How is Sonny Hayes going to prove himself? Can he drive an F1 car? This old guy on this young team having to work with this young upstart, and he has this kind of feisty relationship with like the technical engineer. Played by the wonderful Kerry Condon, who got an Oscar nomination for The Banshees of Inisherin. They have a kind of a chemistry going on. I'm sure that's not going to go anywhere or pay off in any way, shape, or form. It hits all the beats, contains no real surprise in terms of plot, but it is, per Top Gun Maverick, incredibly visceral in terms of its filmmaking. It captures like the races look incredible. They sound incredible more than anything else as well. I would recommend seeing this on as big a screen as possible in a cinema with as good a sound system as imaginable. But like here, unlike in Top Gun Maverick, Kaczynski doesn't have to pretend to be interested in like Sonny Hayes as a human being. He can instead like focus on Sonny Hayes and what it is like to be a Formula One race car driver, which means being put behind the wheel of one of the most insane machines that human beings have ever designed. And what that means in terms of your relationship to your rugged individualism and the idea of like sport as like a winner takes all concept, where Hayes has to learn that he is not the star of the show. He has to learn that he works as part of a team. This is a movie where like the camera keeps cutting from these intense races to rooms full of people on computers studying readouts intensely. And I am so here for that because it is something that to me feels like Kaczynski as a director putting his own unique stamp on a sports movie. Where this movie spends as much time inside simulators and wind tunnels, it lovingly the engineering design of F1 cars. There's a third act twist in which, oh my god, somebody leaked the engineering plans of our new design sports car, and that throws everything up into the air. Where like they have this conversation about how Sonny Hayes is like held together by screws and metal, much like the cars that he drives. And I'm like, this is so specifically attuned to Kaczynski's interest as a filmmaker.
I love
that it manages to get past the I have seen this sports movie a bajillion times. And I managed to have a bit of fun with it. And I do enjoy it. It is not a masterpiece. It does not contain any real surprises. From the plot summary I've given you, you will be able to predict every twist that happens in the movie. And that is fine.
Yeah.
Because it is perfectly fine to hit all of your marks. Technically, though, I absolutely love this movie. Like, I love this movie as like just as a good old fashioned meat and potatoes blockbuster experience of cinema, where it's like I'm in a car and the car is going fast, and I can feel it in my cinema seat as my bones rumble in my body as the bass builds to a "Are we going to destroy the cinema?" level of volume.
I love it. Meanwhile, someone's seeing The Materialist next door and is like, "This is ruining my entire experience."
I really wish it would rumble less when Dakota Johnson checked her phone. I could really feel the vibrate on that. But yeah, not a masterpiece, not a movie that I will particularly like think about a lot in future years, but a good time at the cinema.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Anything else? We want me to go over the last couple super chats.
Let's just go over the last couple super chats. I want to say there is a live stream in 30 minutes, so
there's a live stream.
So super chats it is.
Okay. Okay. Did you have like a rapid fire? You were going to say something about a movie? 1 sentence review of the movie.
Kingdom of Heaven Director's Cut 4K, very good. People should watch this. Good sequel to Gladiator, better than Gladiator 2. Ballad of Wallace Island, available on streaming. Really charming, really nice movie, really gentle, fantastic 3 lead performances. A movie that you want to give a hug to. Clown in the Cornfield, perfectly serviceable teenage slasher movie that isn't like steeped in meta modernism or whatever it is. It's like, can we make a good movie for teenagers that is enjoyable? And Friendship, the new movie starring Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, which is just like the most intense nightmare of a movie I have ever seen. And one of the great movies about like the male loneliness crisis about a married father somehow that feels like extended from my worst social nightmares. But I had a good time with it. So that's my speed round.
I believe it's coming to VOD today or tomorrow.
It's on VOD today.
Okay, perfect. Jack and I are both excited to see it, so maybe we'll talk more about it next episode. No, that's great. Jack and I are both
I'll be held to pay then.
So there you go. Double finger with a €5 dono. Thank you so much. Part of the OG Predators was these fun, absurd 80s action hero dudes getting absolutely dismantled. What would be today's equivalent if there even is one?
You'd have to throw them into like a Fast and Furious movie. Like it would have to be like the problem is that it would have to be a franchise movie that is happening and the
like superheroes. It would have to be like a comic crossover or something. Yeah,
pretty much like that. That I think is like you're right. The magic of the original Predator is it's like a standard Arnie movie. It's like Commando up until halfway through, right down to the cheesy one-liners like "stick around, knock knock."
Yeah.
And then the Predator arrives. So you would have to do something like it's a superhero movie and then the Predator. Mm-hmm. I think like Trachtenberg talked about wanting to do Prey as like a stealth Predator movie where nobody would know it was a Predator movie until it was released, which sounds like a great idea. But I also understand why Disney were like, no, you fucking don't. I'm like, don't you fucking dare.
You have to tell people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even if you look at something like the Thunderbolts, similar, we could say vibes like a Predator movie, right? Where it's like, okay, we have a standard superhero movie that turns into something a little bit deeper and a little bit darker. Not exactly 1-to-1, but vibes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Quintuple with another $10 dono. Thank you so much, Quintuple. Darren, small side note. I liked Andrew's NBA playoff recaps during some of your recent episodes of the 250. Is Andrew a basketball fan? NBA fan?
Andrew is the father of a young child, so is up at unusual hours in Ireland, and therefore was frantically looking for sports that he could consume because he can't because when you're awake at that hour of the morning, you don't want to consume drama or
narrative.
media. Yeah. So you're like just something, and so the way that he was awake at that hour of the morning was like, what's on American basketball? So he has gotten very into American basketball. And now begins every episode of the show with a catch up on where the teams are, which is slightly confusing given that we record out of order, but that is his choice and I support it in all ways, shapes, and forms.
And it's also confusing because the two teams left now are the American Indiana Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder. The two American metropolises, Indianapolis and Oklahoma City.
I know sports now, largely because Andrew keeps talking about them.
Perfect. Sussy Guru with a €5 dono. Thank you so much. What do you think about the idea that Top Gun Maverick isn't just a Tom Cruise midlife crisis movie, but a straight up military propaganda film? I mean, isn't the secret that a lot of the movies that use that get these government contracts are military propaganda films, including like MCU movies?
Yeah, including like Captain Marvel and stuff like that is a great example of it. Like my favorite example of this is Whedon not getting approval from the Pentagon for like the Avengers because they couldn't figure out where Captain America fit in the chain of command. Because they were like, his rank is captain. Where does he fit in the armed services? It was apparently the actual objection that the Pentagon had.
100 Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's why you see like a lot of those, like, it wasn't the United States government that ordered to nuke New York. It was the shadow people.
The global council.
The council.
The shady global council.
Hey, we didn't say which mid-tier city in Dead Reckoning or Final Reckoning we were going to nuke, but one of the NBA final teams was probably there. So it was Oklahoma City or City.
I mean, I do think that like Angela Bassett should have just come in for like 4 hours and just named American cities, and then like whatever city the movie was playing in. That's it exactly. It should have been
absolutely.
And now we will nuke Oklahoma. And now we will nuke Pittsburgh.
How deep would it be? Like, now we will nuke Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and Stevens Point's like, no, not here. The paper factory.
I mean, like the galaxy level take on that is like she just names the city you're in, even if it's not in America. Now we will nuke Cork. Hey, what did Cork do to you guys? To the military propaganda thing, it is absolutely there, 110%. The weird thing is that it is, I would argue, less there than it is in the original Top Gun. The original Top Gun is, to my mind, much more aggressively propagandist. I think it is, when you're watching Top Gun Maverick, it is much more a movie about how we make movies. Or it's like Tom Cruise is like, I will show you guys how to make movies. I will show you guys how to fly planes. I will show you guys how to do a Star Wars. But yes, it is undeniably propagandistic. It's like, look at these cool people doing these cool things in these cool uniforms and these cool planes with cool money fighting a vaguely defined foreign enemy. Because we
tell you which one though. It's like somewhere over there though.
Because we need this movie to perform well internationally. But yeah, no, it is undeniably. But I think it is. I think Maverick.
If you were going to put the like each on a scale, you think Midlife Crisis tilts a little higher.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yes, Midlife Crisis and Tom Cruise knows how to make movies. Like that is the subtext of all Tom Cruise movies is only Tom Cruise knows how to make movies. Where like the subtext of Dead Reckoning is like Hollywood is like, what about this algorithm? We're hearing that we can use computers to help us figure out which movies to make. And Tom Cruise is like, no, you don't. Like Top Gun Maverick is like, what if we use like our like drone stuff to get these impossible shots? Tom Cruise is like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. What if you use CG? No, I'll jump out of the plane 20 times. It's fine. Yeah. Don't worry about it. I'll just keep doing it. Incredible. We did it. I can't believe we touched on Liam Neeson several times because he was also in Kingdom of Heaven. So shout out to Liam Neeson. Friend of the show, Liam Neeson. Shout out to you. Beautiful. Darren, what do you got going on? What should folks check out? Obviously, your new episode of The Backdrop that you and Jesse put together.
which is, I'm proud of all of them, but I'm always, again, stunned when I see what Jesse gets back. This one, looking at the John Wick movies, looking at how the John Wick movies are a celebration of stunt work, and in particular, how they're part of like a larger context of Hollywood understanding and embracing stunts, including, we mentioned Tom Cruise a lot here, but Tom Cruise becoming the patron saint of stunt work, the Academy embracing stunts, Jackass being accepted as like, one of the great art forms. I think yesterday, was it Vulture named it one of the top 100 movies of the 2020s, Jackass Forever. Wow. But this idea of like us understanding that like physical performance is still performance, that stunt work is art and it deserves celebration, is commendable, the Oscar that's coming in 2028, and how that is built off the back of movies like John Wick and like the Mission Impossible franchise. So yeah, check that out. Jesse's incredible work on stunning stuff.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Jack?
Yeah, I'll be back Thursday streaming something. We don't know yet. So I'll be back on Thursday for stream, and then next Saturday is Adventures Nigh. If you haven't yet, you can head over to Crit Awards, CRIT Awards.org, and vote, because my character of Latavia Ticklepuss has been nominated for Best Villain in an actual play podcast. So you can go to critawards.org and vote for Latavia Ticklepuss for Best Villain, because that'd be cool. This weekend, I'm going to be in Pasadena. If anyone's in Pasadena, I'll come by and say hi. I need a place to crash.
That's the Rose Bowl.
That's the
you
Rose
can sleep
Bowl.
At the Rose Bowl.
Oh no, then I'm not going to Pasadena. Where am I going? Burbank. I'm going to Burbank. That's not Pasadena.
That's not the Rose Bowl. No.
I'll be in Burbank, California this weekend to do a mixer with the Crit Awards people. So that'll be fun.
There you go.
And yeah, so that's that.
Lovely. Then on our front, like we said, 20 minutes from now, I believe Nick, Jenna, and Jamate will be back playing FBC Firebreak. That's the 3-player co-op game from Remedy set in the Control universe, set in the oldest house. So you can check that out. Then we should have normal streams the rest of the week tomorrow evening. Instead of Metroid, since we finished, we'll be doing Dokapon. So check out for that. Then all the normal stuff. And then I'll probably be doing a stream on my personal channel after work today. I bought $200 worth of these Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering cards, and I set up a second camera, and I'm going to unbox them. I'm going to unwrap them.
No.
I'm going to unwrap them until I get a fat chocobo. I'm going to spend $12,000 until I get a fat chocobo.
Don't start playing Magic the Gathering. Don't do it, Marty.
I'm not going to play. I just like looking at them.
No, this is how it starts. This is exactly how it starts. I have friends who I have lost to Magic the Gathering.
Just one cigarette. Yeah. What's the harm? I don't know why I sounded like a pirate there. But yeah, and sorry, Saucy Guru, one last super chat. Thank you so much. And that undefined country was undeniably Iran, because Iran is the only country allowed to buy F-14 planes. But it's fine, because Iran's not in the news anymore, so we don't have to worry about that.
Nothing is happening involving Iran, right? Yeah,
everything's totally fine. Everything's totally fine. What could possibly go wrong? For
Iran's
Jack,
so far away.
God damn it, we're about to go to war, Darren. You can't make light of it. Jack and I are going to get drafted because we're young and active.
I'm neither of those things, baby.
I do love the idea of like Jack bringing improv to the troops and being like, well, silver linings. It's like Bob Hope.
I have done shows for veterans. They're a great crowd.
There you go. There you go. So for Jack and Darren and Eric, this was Marty. This was the Rewind episode number 23. Thank you all so much, everyone who tuned in live, listened on your podcast service of choice, and especially all those folks in the Patreon. Oh, speaking of the Patreon, we're going to have Patreon exclusive videos going up. I believe Jack has a video going up soon.
Can I spoil the title of my Patreon exclusive?
You can spoil it right here. Please do.
Okay. Everybody. So they let me make any video I wanted to make, no constraints, and I didn't tell anyone what video I was going to make.
Nope.
So y'all, the title of my video is How Many Buckets Are in Dark Souls 2?
This isn't clickbait. Jack answers the question.
I literally walk the entirety of Dark Souls 2 looking in every single corner of every single room of every single map and hand count every bucket that exists in Dark Souls 2. It's a journey, y'all.
Sounds really honestly tiring. I'm surprised you didn't just throw up your hand and say bucket at one point.
This is also a rare video where you could just say,
I got really sick. I was all sweaty and pale.
You could just, God damn it. God Damn it. You could also, this is the only video where you could say afterwards,
well,
and the answer will surprise you. Because I think the answer will surprise you.
The
So
answer
there you go.
will absolutely surprise you. Yeah.
So $5 tier and above, you'll all get to watch that. We got to leave before you guys make more bucket jokes. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoons, and we'll see you all in 20 minutes with the next stream. Bye, everyone.
Bye.